Thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Honorable Senators, I wish to report to the Senate that I have, pursuant to Standing Order 47.1 and 3, received a message from His Excellency the President. The message, dated Friday 9th December 2022, and communicated by way of a memorandum addressed to the Speaker of the Senate and the Speaker of the National Assembly, was received on 14th December 2022 while the Senate was on recess. The President has, in his memorandum, asked the two houses of Parliament to exercise full authority and precisely calibrate the balance of constitutional powers, deepen good governance, enhance inclusion in the democratic space, strengthen parliamentary oversight of the executive, and promote the responsiveness of elected representatives to the citizens' aspirations. His Excellency the President specifically seeks the intervention of the Houses of Parliament with regard to 1, implementation of the 2/3 gender rule, 2, Constituency Development Fund, Senate Oversight and National Government Affirmative Action Funds, 3, the position of the Leader of the Official Opposition, and 4, parliamentary oversight over the Executive. Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 47.3, which states, when a message from the President is read, the message shall be deemed to have been laid before the Senate, and the Speaker may A, direct that the message be dealt with forthwith, B, appoint a day for consideration of the message, or C, refer the message to the relevant committee of the Senate for consideration. Honorable Senators, in this regard, I refer the matter to the Senate Majority Leader for necessary action and further direct the clerk to circulate to all senators the detailed memorandum as received from His Excellency the President, so that you may familiarize yourselves with its contents. I thank you. Yes, what's your point of the majority?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've heard your message. And, for a long time, I avoided commenting on this particular issue because you know very well this has been a topical issue in our country. But given that this was a memorandum addressed to you, I am now satisfied that the communication you've given is that you have referred this matter to one of the legislators in this House, who happens to be the majority leader. You know, Mr. Speaker, there has been discussion out there about what is our place as an institution. Article 94 of our Constitution gives us legislative authority as Parliament. Unfortunately, that legislative authority, Mr. Speaker, vests only in 67 members in this House and 349 in the National Assembly. Anybody else, not including the President himself, can transact any business in this House other than through the way that has been suggested, Mr. Speaker, that you can do a proposal. This House receives petitions from members of the public. We receive letters. Personally, even as a legislator, I get suggestions even on my social media platforms that you need to change this law or the other. That is a suggestion that comes to us, but it is duty bound on us as legislators to consider and find ways in which we address these particular issues. The reason that I am impressed, Mr. Speaker, with this communication of yours is that finally this gives us an opportunity, you know, as Senate. I know that there is a constitutional amendment bill before the National Assembly. I continue to hold the position that that constitutional amendment is an nullity in law, Mr. Speaker, for the simple reason that you cannot be proposing to put CDF at 2.5%, GAFA I don't know what percent, and give to senators 0.001%. That's an insult to this House. That bill would never have seen the light of the day. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I dare say that members were planning to disappear with a maze if that bill had been brought to this House. But as it is now, we have an opportunity, because 3 weeks ago, before the lapse of the time of this House, we proposed an ad hoc committee to look into various proposals that are before the various houses of parliament. I believe this is our opportunity as members of parliament, especially those that serve in this ad hoc committee, for every shilling or every coin that members of the National Assembly will be proposing, especially with regards to CDF and GAF, there must be a respectable share of resources to be used to carry out oversight in our counties that is proposed to the Senate, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I don't want to preempt debate, but I believe that when our ad hoc committee sits, Senate shall finally get justice. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We raised that matter there. Honorable Senators, I had three options. One of the options was to allow you to consider this message, which I did not exercise. The option I did exercise is to refer this message to the majority leader for onward transmission to the relevant committees. So we are not debating this message. That option is not open to us now. We have very serious, honorable senators, we have very serious message. We have a very heavy agenda in front of us. Senator Mungatana, kindly yield. Senator Mungatana, kindly take your seat. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Senators, I have another message to pass. I wish to report to the Senate that pursuant to Standing Order 48, I received the following message from the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly regarding the passage by the County Assembly of a motion pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Government Act for the removal from office by way of impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. The message was transmitted to the Senate via letter signed by the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly, reference number CAM/Res/Volume V/2, dated 15th December 2022, and received in my office on the same day. Pursuant to the Standing Order 48.1 of the Senate, I shall now report the message to the Senate. This is to inform you that on Wednesday, the 14th day of December 2022, during the afternoon sitting of the County Assembly of Meru, via the resolution of the Assembly and pursuant to the provisions of Article 181 of the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, Section 33 of the County Government Act, 2012, as read together with the provisions of Standing Order number 65 of the County Assembly of Meru, Standing Orders approved the motion to remove from office the Governor of Meru County by way of impeachment. The purpose of this letter is to therefore inform you of the aforementioned resolution and to forward the same to your esteemed office in line with the provisions of Section 33(2) of the County Government Act 2012 and Standing Order number 65(6) of the County Assembly of Meru Standing Orders for your further action. Attached herewith, please find a schedule containing the bundle of documents, records containing evidence adduced, notes and records of proceedings before the County Assembly for your reference and records. Honorable Senators, as stated in the letter from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru, the following documents were forwarded to the Senate, being the record of proceedings of the County Assembly and the evidence adduced in support of the impeachment motion. Honorable Senator, kindly welcome. Senator Buru, our prayers were with you, and we thank God you're back. As stated in the letter from the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru, the following documents are forwarded to the Senate, being the record of proceedings of the County Assembly and the evidence adduced in support of the impeachment motion. 1. Approved notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor dated 5th December 2022. 2. Order papers for the County Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 6th December and Wednesday 14th December 2022 respectively. 3. Certified Hansard reports of the Assembly sittings held on Tuesday 6th December and Wednesday 14th December 2022. 4. Copy of certified signatures of County Assembly members in support of the impeachment motion against the Governor of Meru County dated 13th December 2022. 5. Copy of a roll call vote of Wednesday 14th December 2022 on the motion for impeachment of the Governor of Meru County. 6. Copy of a communication from the Chair issued during the County Assembly sitting held on Wednesday 14th December 2022. 7. Copy of a letter by Mtuma Gishuru and Associates Advocates, reference number CIM/MCAs/AM/AM/MGA 2022 dated 13th December 2022, addressed to the Speaker of the County Assembly of Meru. 8. Copies of newspaper advertisements of Wednesday 7th December 2022 and copies of invoices for radio advertisement calling for submission of memoranda on the notice of motion for the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County. 9. A flash disk containing 20 video clips evidencing the particulars alleged in the motion, as well as voice advertisement on the public participation on the motion run on Muuga FM. 10. Copy of the report, minutes, and other supporting documents of a public hearing meeting for receipt of memoranda on the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County, held on Tuesday, 13th December 2022. 11. Copies of written memoranda, both in support and against, from different sub-counties and regions submitted to the County Assembly during the public participation exercise on this motion. And lastly, booklet of the third edition of the Meru County Assembly Standing Orders. Honorable Senators, in terms of Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33(3)(a) of the County Governments Act 2012 and Standing Order 81A of the Senate Standing Orders, the Speaker of the Senate is required within 7 days after receiving notice of resolution from the Speaker of a County Assembly to convene a meeting of the Senate to hear charges against the Governor. As I indicated in my earlier communication, the special sitting has been convened to hear charges on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. Pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81A of the Senate Standing Orders, I hereby proceed to read the charges against the Governor of Meru County as contained in the motion of impeachment by the County Assembly of Meru. Charge 1. Nepotism, illegal appointments, unlawful dismissals, and usurpation of the constitutional and statutory functions of county organs. The particulars of these allegations include: 1. Appointment of a husband to county offices. 2. Roadside appointment of county workers at Timau. 3. Roadside appointment of county workers at Nkubu. 4. Roadside appointment of county workers at Kianjai. 5. Establishment of an illegal committee for the Meru municipality. Senators, you may walk in, please. Charge 2, incitement bullying, vilification, and misleading campaigns against other leaders. The particulars of this allegation include: 1, humiliation of the Meru County Assembly Minority Leader, vilification of the Meru County Assembly Minority Whip and other leaders. 3, vilification of the Senator of Meru County. 4, vilification of the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture. 5, vilification of the member of the National Assembly for Tigania East constituency. And lastly, vilification of the Catholic Church and clergy. Charge number 3, forceful entry into the county assembly precincts and mobilization of unlawful riots against members of the county assembly. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor, 1, forcibly entered the precincts of the county assembly, 2, falsely accused members of the county assembly and other elected leaders of cartelism, blackmail, greed, corruption, and intimidation. 3, organized a violent demonstration against the members of the county assembly at the assembly precincts. Number 4, addressed a riotous crowd at the precincts of the county assembly. Charge number 4, violation of public finance management laws. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor, 1, directed the Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital to spend all revenue at source. 2, issued purported waivers on fees at the Meru Teaching and Referral Hospital. 3, directed county officers to participate in advancing the interest of Bait TV, a private media station. Charge number 5, misconduct relating to the nomination of CECs. The particulars of this allegation are that the governor, 1, vilified members of the county assembly for refusing to approve some nominees to the county executive committee. 2, falsely accused members of the county assembly of shortchanging Kirsty Misheni and other nominees for appointment to the CEC. 3, illegally instructed Kirsty Misheni to usurp the statutory functions of the Igoji Westward Retention Enhancement Fund Committee by identifying the persons that would benefit from the county bursary funds. 4, failed to submit names of other candidates to the county assembly for approval for appointment to the CEC. 5, reorganize her government to 6 departments and 3 CEC members after the rejection of some nominees instead of submitting names of other candidates to the county assembly for approval. 6, swore to appoint to her government and actively work with losers of the 2022 county elections instead of duly elected MCAs to stir wrangles within the assembly. Honorable Senators, in terms of the way forward, following the reading of the charges against the governor, Standing Order 81B of the Senate Standing Orders, as read together with Section 33(3)B of the County Government Act, give the Senate 2 options on how to proceed with this matter. The Senate may, A, by resolution, appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter, or B, investigate the matter in plenary. As listed at order number 6 in today's order paper, the Senate Majority Leader will shortly give notice of motion for the establishment of a special committee, and the motion thereon is listed at order number 8. Should this motion be carried, the special committee will be required under Section 33(4) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 82 of the Senate to investigate the matter and to report to the Senate on whether it finds the particulars of allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. In the event that the motion for the establishment of the special committee does not pass, the fallback position is that the Senate shall proceed to investigate and conduct the matter in plenary. In this event, I will appoint the dates on which Senate will sit in plenary to hear and determine the charges against the governor. Honorable Senators, it is noteworthy, and I wish to emphasize to all honorable Senators, that when we come to the debate on the motion for establishment of a special committee, debate on the motion shall be limited to the substance of the motion. Principally, whether or not to establish the special committee. It will not be a debate on the substance of the impeachment or its merits, propriety, prudence, or even the constitutionality or legality of the process that have preceded the submission of this matter to the Senate. It is therefore not permissible to deviate to any matters other than the motion before the Senate. I also wish to inform honorable senators to desist from publicly commenting on the merits or demerits of the impeachment motion before the Senate. Doing so will amount to anticipation of debate, which is an infringement of Standing Order 99. Therefore, it shall be out of order within the meaning of Standing Order 122 for any senator to make comments, whether written or spoken, in relation to the conduct of the governor or the impeachment process, which is outside the confines of the impeachment proceedings, as such comments may prejudice the just outcome of the process. Honorable Senators, this is the first impeachment hearing in the 13th Parliament. Such a hearing is one of the most crucial oversight tools and singular roles of the Senate. In undertaking this mandate, the Senate will be sitting as a quasi-judicial body and will conduct investigations into the alleged infractions of the Constitution and the law, and thereafter make its determination in this matter. I conclude by urging all honorable senators to exercise the highest level of responsibility on this matter. Honorable senators, I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to give notice of the following motion. The establishment of a select committee to investigate and report the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. Mr. Speaker, that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act on 14th of October 2022, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by way of impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County, and further whereas by a letter reference number CAM RESVOL.V/2 dated 15th of December 2022, received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Thursday 15th December 2022, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the removal of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3) of the County Governments Act, Standing Order number 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)B of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising of the following: Senator 1, Senator Boni Halwale; 2, Senator Jackson Mandago; 3, Senator Karungo Dhangwa; 4, Senator Esther Okenyuri; 5, Senator Roba Ali; 6, Senator Peris Tobiko; 7, Senator Eddie Gisheru; 8, Senator Joseph Kamau; 9, Senator Edwin Sifuna; 10, Senator Agnes Kavindu; 11, Senator Jones Mwaruma, to investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County, and pursuant to the Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not in its findings the particulars of the allegations against the Governor have been substantiated. Thank you, Speaker.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 7, statements. Order number 8, motion. Establishment of a select committee to investigate and report on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of Meru County.
The Majority Leader, may you move the motion?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the motion on the establishment of a select committee to investigate and report on the proposed removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of Meru County. That whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on the 14th of December 2022, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the governor of Meru County. And further whereas by a letter reference CAM RES volume V2 dated 15th December 2022, received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Thursday the 15th of December 2022, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act, Standing Order number 81B of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising of 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act, Standing Order number 81B, the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising of the following senators: Boni Halwale, Senator Jackson Mandago, Senator Karungo Dhangwa, Senator Esther Okenyuri, Senator Roba Ali, Senator Peris Tobiko, Senator Eddie Okech, Senator Joseph Kamau, Senator Edwin Sifuna, Senator Agnes Kavindu, Senator Jones Maruma, to investigate the proposed removal from office of the governor of Meru County, and pursuant to Standing Order number 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not its findings to the particulars of the allegations against the governor have been substantiated. Mr. Speaker, this is a very important exercise. The reason the Senate exists is to provide, or to rather to secure the interest of counties, their governments, and its people. This is one such time, Mr. Speaker, that you are being recalled as a house because there is a matter that has been brought before us by the people of Meru through their elected representatives, that's members of a county assembly. And as a house, we are being invited to listen to the dispute that exists between the county government, the executive, and the assembly, and the reasons that the members of county assembly have provided for impeaching their governor and requesting this house to agree with them and send the governor packing. We have two ways, Mr. Speaker, that we can reach an agreement or establish, because this house, as you have given in your communication, Mr. Speaker, now ceases being just a house of parliament, but also takes up an extra duty of being a quasi-judicial gathering, where members of this house will listen and peruse through the evidence that is adduced before them, or by way of plenary, or by way of a special committee, such as what is being proposed before us, Mr. Speaker, and guide the entire House. Mr. Speaker, I am aware that over the years, and it's good to put matters into perspective so that maybe many of our colleagues
What is your point of order, Senator Omtata?
Yeah, my point of order is anchored on Article 181 of the Constitution, and I'm afraid we are just about to violate the Constitution of Kenya the way previous houses have been violating the Constitution of Kenya. Impeachment proceedings under the Constitution of Kenya is a preserve for the presidency. If you look at it, and even when you look at the impeachment of the president under Article 144 on medical grounds, and look at 145, it's not 145 that provides for impeachment. If you look at 181, clause 1D, how would you impeach a governor on the basis of physical or mental incapacity? So I think that Section 33 of the County Governments Act is an affront on the Constitution of Kenya. What was anticipated, and the Constitution cleverly uses the words removal and the words impeachment. And removal of the president is the only one where they qualify by saying by impeachment. All other removals, Mr. Speaker, sir, are through processes that include the tribunals. Just the other day, we saw the National Assembly consider a motion to remove commissioners of IBC. They went and there's a tribunal that has been formed. It's a full trial. It cannot, there's no provision in the Constitution of Kenya for putting a governor of any county of Kenya through a political trial. We should not violate the Constitution again. Article 33 needs to be looked at and expunged.
Senator Mtata, you may be raising your points of order not at the appropriate time.
I'm guided, Your Honor.
Yes.
You'll guide me when to raise them, please.
If you read at the fourth, the third schedule, the rules of procedure for the hearing and determination of the proposed removal from office by impeachment of a governor. And I'll take you straight all the way to Regulation 13 and 14. Such preliminary objections have their space within the procedure. And therefore, if indeed you are inclined to move the way you're moving, then there is a time when you can actually bring those preliminary points and they'll be determined at that level. As we are now constituted, the leader of majority is moving the motion as to whether we are going the plenary way or the special committee way. After all that is settled, before the hearing, then such preliminary objections can be raised and be dealt with before the main hearing actually commences.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, it's interesting to have Senator Mtata here because at some point he will have to draw a line, and this is with no ill will or malice actually or bad intent on him, because he has carved a space for himself as a public interest litigant, but now he has another platform. You know, back then he didn't have a platform that he could perhaps raise some of these issues, but now you have a premium platform as a member of parliament. So somebody may say you have a double chance in life that you can raise in court and on the floor of the House. I don't think many Kenyans have such privilege as you have, which is a good thing anyway, if you look at it that way. So, Mr. Speaker, I was mentioning that this House has handled impeachments of governors many times. This is not the first time. I think by my count this should be the 11th or 12th. I'm yet to get the right numbers. In the first Senate, the 11th Parliament, Mr. Speaker, we handled 6 impeachments. 5 of them were by committee. Only 1 was by plenary. Actually, that of the late Governor of Nyeri, then Honorable Nderitu Gachagua. But all the other 5 impeachment motions or proceedings that were brought to this House were handled actually by way of committee. The impeachment of Governor Martin Nyaga Wambora, both 1 and 2, for which our good colleague who's here, and that's part of the reason why we are proposing him to be part and parcel of a committee. Senator Boni Halwale was actually chair of both committees, so comes with historical experience. Of course, the impeachment proceedings against my governor then Professor Chepkwony was handled by committee. Same in the impeachment motion against Deputy Governor for Machakos, Bernard Kiala, handled by committee, and Governor Mwangi Waendria of Muranga. They were all handled. So 5 out of 6 were handled. In the 12th Parliament, which is last Parliament, Mr. Speaker, 5 matters were considered by the Senate. 2 of the matters, that of Honorable Granton Saboja and Anne Mumbi Waiguru, were handled actually by committee. The other 3, that of Mohammed Abdi, Ferdinand Ndungu Waititu, and the very famous one of Mike Gideon Mbuvi Sonko of Nairobi, were handled by plenary. Therefore, what's my point, Mr. Speaker? That either way, this House can proceed to guide, to consider an impeachment motion that has been brought before us. But you want to look at the circumstances, the timing, which one precedes the other. I do not hold in my mind that there is one method that is superior to the other. You'll find people that are saying, why can't we go the plenary way? Others that are saying, why can't we go the committee way? Out of personal experience, and I think I have lots of it, therefore I'm qualified to give a qualified opinion on this, Mr. Speaker, is that both ways are extremely effective. And whichever way that we have pursued it in the past, the Senate has returned the decision either way. There have been moments where we went to the committee and the motion was dropped, or even went to the committee and the charges were upheld, and vice versa when you go to the committee way. I want to propose to the members this afternoon listening to me that we go the committee route, Mr. Speaker, that we grant a committee 11 colleagues of ours who have been given an opportunity to go and listen and read and peruse the documents that have been produced before the Senate and come and convince this House of whatever finding they will get, either to impeach or to drop the charges. As a House, we shall be gathered again and be granted equally the opportunity to read a further refined report from the 11 colleagues of ours, men and women that I consider to be fully competent. You know, Mr. Speaker, I love the fact that in this House, and if you read the language of a constitution, is that it looks at us as 67 senators. I do not for any reason entertain the thought that there are senators who are better than others. We have different giftings, abilities. Some have been here longer, some have been here. And if you look at the proposal that has come to the committee, or the proposed committee that has been laid before us, has a mix of both. New members, ranking members, whichever. Men, women, elected, specially elected by way of nomination, has all the shades and colors. But of course, as is the nature of human beings, many people will say, why not me? And I want to discourage our colleagues from having such a view to life. Because if we begin transacting the business of Parliament and saying that any time a motion perhaps comes before the House, if so-and-so is not included, if myself am not included, then maybe for that particular reason, I may not necessarily support, then we wouldn't be sending a very good precedence about it. So I want to convince the House, and I want to propose to you, colleague senators, that given that this has come during a Christmas break, many of you perhaps who are home with your families, with your constituents, with your loved ones, that we give the due attention that can be gotten, especially at this particular time, only by way of a committee, to have the time to listen to the presentations by a county assembly, let the governor come and defend herself as well. And then, once the committee has concluded on the work, I'm sure we shall have, and we have by mandate of law, actually by provisions of the County Government Act, we have to be gathered here in the next 10 days and come and listen to the presentation of our colleagues on what they were able to establish in this particular case, Mr. Speaker. I want to also urge members, generally the Special Committee, and even members of the Senate, not to be intimidated, because impeachment is not a very easy procedure. People have their opinions. Others want to cast us into a particular painting and lighting. You know, I've seen so much go around. I believe, Mr. Speaker, and I say this with authority, that every time the Senate has gathered itself to consider an impeachment motion, we are guided by the evidence that is provided before us. So there's no need to run a campaign around all the issues that are being brought before us, Mr. Speaker. Oh, this is a particular agenda issue. Men, you're being biased and things like that. You know, I've seen all these things and I felt, Mr. Speaker, I'm not speaking about the substance of a motion, but I'm speaking about the placing of Senate and why it is important to respect us as an institution, such that when matters are brought before us, you allow us the latitude, because these are men and women of integrity. They have the wherewithal to know what is right and what is wrong for a country. There's no need to run campaigns around us. Especially, for example, I've seen men being taunted and being reminded. You know, I'm a big champion of women in leadership. And I like when the campaign is run right, but also don't run it in a way that you're castigating men for the wrong reasons. You know, I have followed and I see the debate. We are being told, oh, you know, perhaps this infamous guitar-loving husband, that if it was a spouse of a male governor doing the same things that he's doing, you guys will not have a problem. But I want to challenge them and ask them, please show me the spouse of a male governor who goes into altercation with the leaders of that particular county. You will not find any. You know, therefore, even as we convince the House and speak about the issues that are being brought before this particular, allow the Senate the space to carry out its duty without necessarily running any particular theories around us on what should guide us and what shouldn't. Let members make a decision either way, either to impeach or not to impeach. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues without taking a lot of time, because I believe we'd wish to hear the opinion of our colleagues, but I plead with you that given the circumstances that we find ourselves in fact, I don't envy members that are going to serve in this committee, because the minute you take up responsibility, you forget about Christmas. You're actually going to spend your Christmas working here in Nairobi, perusing the documents, because immediately on the 27th, or even actually earlier than that, all the way to 24th, you shall be working, perhaps break only on the 25th, which is Sunday, and Monday, the 26th, on 27th, be back at work, so that you're able to conclude, because by 30th of December, this House must make a decision either way, with particular to this. Therefore, I don't even envy these colleagues of ours, because they have got to spend their Christmas working. But what to do, Mr. Speaker, because that is a reason, that's our reason for existence as a House, to protect the interest of our counties, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to plead with our colleagues that let us go this particular way, support the establishment of this special committee. There'll be opportunities in future, because there are people who've talked to me and have said, Majority Leader, grant me an opportunity. I also want to carry out an investigation. Believe you me, given the way many of these governors are behaving, and I have observed governors for a while, therefore I know we will have very many of them before this House. Perhaps even before February we reconvene, there will be other customers to come and deal with impeachment issues in this House. You'll get the chance to serve in committees, you'll get the chance to serve in special sitting until you will be tired. So while I understand that this is the first one and many people are saying, oh, I wish I was a member, or let's go the plenary way, we will have opportunity either way. The statistics that I've given you have shown that the House actually distributes these things almost on equal measure between special committee and plenary. So we will have a taste of both. I want to request you, I undertake this as your Majority Leader, that if today we go the special committee way, and I plead with you that we go that way, then the next one, we will handle it by way of plenary, like that, until we have a taste of all these things. It's our duty, and we will be convinced. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, without many remarks, I beg to move and request Leader of Minority Senators, Retired Justice Stewart Mazayo, to second this motion. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka kuunga mkono ndugu yangu alivyosema Aaron Cheriot, akiwa kama kiongozi wa walio wengi, ya kwamba kuna njia panda, ya kwamba tuende kulinganishana na kamati ya bunge zima, ama sivyo tuweze kuchagua kamati ambao kwa maoni ambao tulikuwa tumeshaongea hapo awali, mimi na yeye, ni kwamba njia ya kamati ndio itakuwa njia ambayo itakuwa ya mwafaka sana, kwa sababu itaweza kupatia nafasi wale maseneta ambao tutakuwa tumechagua ni njia gani ama ni mwelekeo gani, na kuangalia zile karatasi zote ama stakabadhi zote ambazo zitakuwa zimeletwa kwa kusikiliza hii kesi. Bwana Spika, si njia rahisi ya kwamba mtu kama sasa ameletwa ndani ya bunge la Senate na haki yake ionekane kupotoshwa. Tunataka ya kwamba wale maseneta ambao tutakuwa tumechagua waketi katika kamati waweze kufanya kazi muafaka, kazi ambao wataangalia zile stakabadhi zote na wazikague, waone ni wapi ambapo watapitia na kutuambia hii ndio njia ya kisawasawa. Bwana Spika, vile vile tunaona ya kwamba tukifanya yote iwe upande wote wa kamati ya bunge la Senate, itakuwa ni muda kidogo sana ambapo tunaweza kuchukua nafasi hiyo kwa sisi kukubaliana ama ripoti kuwa ile ambayo itaweza kuchambua yale mashtaka na yule atakavyokuwa amejitetea, ili kuweza kuja na mwelekeo fulani ambao utaweza kuangalia ni njia gani ambayo tutaweza kupitia. Bwana Spika, kwa hiyo kwa maoni yangu mimi naona ya kwamba njia ile ya kamati ndio njia ambayo itaweza kufafanua na itaweza kuona ya kwamba huyu gavana ni kweli alifanya yale yanayodaiwa ama hakufanya yale kuwa anadaiwa. Cha pili, tukiwa kama senators hapa, tuko na imani na ile kamati ambayo tutaichagua. Tunajua ya kwamba masenators wote walioko hapa ndani wanao uwezo wa kuketi katika hii kamati, lakini kuna sababu zake muhimu ndani ya sheria. Ni kwa sababu gani tunasema ya kwamba watu wakiwa kama 11 sio kama watu ambao wako 60 na. Kwa hiyo wale watu 11 wakiwa wanaweza kuketi na kila mtu akawa na wakati maalumu wa kuweza kupitia zile records, itakuwa bora zaidi kuliko sisi tukitumia kamati ya nyumba nzima ama committee of the whole house. Kwa hiyo mimi nasema tu ya kwamba tuko na imani, na mimi nataka kuona ya kwamba wale watu ambao tumechagua ambao wataweza kuketi katika kamati kama hii, tuko na imani nao na tuna imani ya kwamba wataweza kuwa na kutupatia mwelekeo wa kisawasawa. Bwana Spika, vile vile tunaona kwamba tumekuwa hapa ndani ya hili bunge na ni wakati sasa kuthibitisha ya kwamba Senate vile tunavyosema ndio nyumba kubwa ya bunge hili letu la Kenya. Kwa hiyo tuchukue nafasi hii kuona ya kwamba haki imetendeka kwa wale wanaoweza kushtaki, na yule mshtakiwa mwenyewe pia apewe nafasi nzuri ya kuweza kuangalia stakabadhi zake atakazojitetea, ili tuweze kuona uhaki uko pande gani. Kwa maoni yangu mimi naona vile vile ningeweza kusisitiza senators wenzangu tuende njia ya kamati, kwa sababu hiyo ndio njia ambayo itaweza kutupatia uamuzi wa kikamili. Asante Bwana Spika.
Honorable Senators, I now wish to propose the question, which is that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 14th December 2022, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference number CAM/Res/Volume V/2, dated 15th December 2022, received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Thursday, 15th December 2022, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(b) of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Governments Act and Standing Order 81(b), the Senate resolved to establish a special committee comprising of the following senators. 1, Senator Dr. Boni Kalwale. 2, Senator Jackson Mandago. 3, Senator Karungo Thagwa. 4, Senator Esther Okenyuri. 5, Senator Roba Ali Ibrahim. 6, Senator Peris Tobiko. 7, Senator Eddie Gisheru Okech. 8, Senator Joseph Kithuku Kamau. 9, Senator Edwin Sifuna. 10, Senator Agnes Kavindu Muthama. And lastly, Senator Jones Mwaruma, to investigate the proposed removal from office of the governor of Meru County, and pursuant to Standing Order 82, to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. Senator Gloria.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to oppose this motion simply because the matter that is at hand has got many dynamics. And having a look at the committee that has been put together, I don't think that the dynamics will be met with that committee. First of all, the impeachment motion of this particular governor touches on a lot of gender issues. And when you look at the committee, a committee of 11 people who are going to actually impeach or not impeach a woman governor, we only have 3 women. So even if we are pushing for the 2/3 gender rule, because of the fact that the issues that are being raised on this particular debate are gender sensitive, I think it was a bit unfair that that committee did not actually put into perspective that perhaps they should have had more women into that committee. Another reason that I do not support the motion is that the matters that have been raised in the public domain, this particular governor has actually already been persecuted by the public. The issues have been discussed in public, everything has been put out in public, and in order for us as a Senate that actually understands the sensitivity of the matter, we then must actually provide a platform where we must publicly execute and debate matters and be able, as a Senate, to say that we have given a fair hearing and a fair platform. Another thing is that the divergent views that are actually brought to the House by the plenary way of impeachment will not be exercised under the committee. And I feel as though perhaps the reason I am not supporting this motion is that even when you read the order paper, it says that the Senate has resolved. For us, we were coming hoping that we are going to perhaps have a kamkunji before this, or perhaps have some sort of collaboration. Mr. Speaker, nothing of the sort has been done. Nobody has actually, and I hate to be in this position because I support my party, but I'm also a woman, and I'm pushing for the 2/3 gender rule. And I'm pushing that out of the very few, a handful of the governors that have gotten elected, I know if there is a case for impeachment, it should have fair hearing. When you look at the committee, Mr. Speaker, you have 2 former governors sitting in the committee. This is an issue about impeaching a governor. And then you have 2 former governors sitting in that committee. I have to raise my eyebrow and ask myself, is it going to be fair hearing? Because there's already a conflict of interest there. to have two former governors sitting and saying they are going to give fair hearing. And finally, Mr. Speaker,
what is your point of order, Majority Leader?
No, Mr. Speaker. Resume your seat.
Senator Gloria, kindly take your seat.
You know, Mr. Speaker, we have very clear rules of debate. When you're debating, you cannot impute improper motive on your colleagues without a substantive motion. I want Senator Gloria, because she's now imputing improper motive on first me as Majority Leader, secondly as SBC, that by including colleagues, you know, there are former fishermen here, there are former touts, there are former herders, there are former governors. Please let her show me which standing order says a former governor should not serve in any particular committee of this particular house. But that is a less substantial matter. What I want her to tell me, I'm on a point of order, my neighbor. Allow me to make my point. Listen, Mr. Speaker, the thing I want Gloria to explain to me is how Senator Gloria, sorry, my apologies. The thing I want Senator Gloria to explain, Mr. Speaker, because otherwise she will be imputing improper motive on me, is how, by having these two senators, because she has picked on two particular senators in this particular committee, points that there is a general direction in which how this committee is supposed to conduct its work. Mr. Speaker, until that is properly explained to me, then it will have been left on the Hansard of this House that at one particular time when I moved a motion already with a predetermined position. I do not take that kindly, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, indeed, to that extent, you are out of order, and you may proceed to abandon that line of argument or contribution.
Mr. Speaker, I retract my comment that two governors will be, former governors will be sitting in the proposed committee. I retract the comment, although the two former governors will be sitting. Mr. Speaker, I also want to say that...
what is your point of order, Senator Wambua? Senator Gloria, please take a seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I really hate to disrupt the flow of our thoughts. But Mr. Speaker, she has raised an issue, and because this is a House of Record, and every senator is responsible for the accuracy of the statements that they make on the floor. For clarity, Mr. Speaker, both the plenary way and the committee way are public engagements. A wrong impression should not be created here, Mr. Speaker, that if you go the plenary way, it's going to be a sitting in camera. It is a public engagement as much as a plenary way would be a public engagement. Mr. Speaker, for accuracy and for purposes of record, that is important to note.
Proceed, Senator Gloria. I hope you've been fully informed.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I've been fully informed. Mr. Speaker, allow me to also put across that you have seen the manner with which this gender, which is the female gender, the women senators, have to fight in this House. To even be called by their title, Senator Gloria, becomes a war in the House. And this is my concern, Mr. Speaker, because when you are actually putting together a committee that is going to consider an issue of impeachment on the basis of gender-sensitive matters that have been brought. And, Mr. Speaker, allow me, because I think you must protect me from the House. As I said, we need protection, Mr. Speaker. I would like to just execute my case, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Sifuna?
Mr. Speaker, I listened to you very carefully when you read the charges against the governor. I do not recall any accusation against her based on her gender. I would want to understand where Senator Gloria is getting this impression that somehow the question of the impeachment of the governor of Meru has anything to do with her gender. I think, Mr. Speaker, perhaps for her benefit, you could repeat the charges against her, because I did not hear anything touching on her gender when you read the charges, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Senator Gloria, I know how passionate you are on gender issues, but please do not bring it up when it's not.
Mr. Speaker, I have said.
Senator Gloria, can you proceed and
Mr.
conclude
Speaker, I have said that the matters that are arising in this case are gender sensitive. Gender sensitive. And Mr. Speaker, I honestly would like to invite the House to come for capacity building when it comes to gender mainstreaming. When I say gender sensitive, it means that the issues might appear black and white to the male senators, while in perspective and in a court of law and in an investigative institution or a committee, you can already see that there are senators who might not be able to catch the gender sensitivity of the matter. So my issue is, if indeed we are pushing to go the committee way, which I do not support, because I think that it already disadvantages the subject matter who has already been publicly persecuted by the other gender. And I think we should really try to ask ourselves, we only have 5 elected governors. And out of these elected governors who are women, we are actually putting together an 11-member committee that is constituted of only 3 senators. Can we at least then get a 50-50 of that committee? And if not, can we at least find a way to ensure that the gender-sensitive matters that keep reappearing on this impeachment, because, Mr. Speaker, I know I'm guided, I'm not supposed to talk on the issues, but there are gender-sensitive matters, including the issue of the office of the first husband. That is a gender-sensitive matter. And we have to have a committee which we, as other senators, actually believe and trust that they will execute these matters with that awareness of the gender sensitivity, because we know that it is a fact that it is the first time we're even experiencing the office of a first husband in this public nature, and most of the issues that are being brought up are actually attached to the gender matter. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to say this: it is improper, and perhaps I would say morally improper, that a select few members come together and put together an 11-member committee without holding a kamkunji of any sort, without actually trying to talk to the senators and say, this is the weight of the matter, get divergent views. And Mr. Speaker, we come to the floor of the House, we are thinking we are coming to execute our duties, and we are being told under the order paper that the Senate has already resolved to put an 11-member committee. So I oppose this motion. And I want to urge my fellow women senators, because there's a saying that says, first they come for the Jews, and then they come for who. By the time they come for you, there's no one to fight for you. So I want to urge, including those senators who are women, who have been the 3 senators who have been put in the committee, this is a matter that is bigger than you, and I want to ask you people to come together to ensure that Governor Kawera has got a fair and equal platform where we can actually listen and be able to execute our duties as senators of this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion on the following reasons. One, I empathize with my colleague who just left, Senator Gloria. And Senator Gloria, let me go on record as a person who respects women, because all my life I've worked so hard to respect women. The issue today is something which is very emotive, and I know where you're coming from. But what the Speaker has proposed is for us to consider whether we go the committee way or we go the plenary way. Mr. Speaker, listening to your communication.
Okay, please just take your seat, please. Please take your seat. Please take your seat. Senator Ledama, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me reiterate again, and I hope that I can be protected from Mr. Speaker.
What is the point of order, Senator? What is the point of order?
Mr. Speaker, point of order is a right, it's not a privilege. Standing order number 91. Stop shouting. You are not in Maasai market. Stop looking down at people.
Kindly.
No. Don't stop shouting at me. You are not in a market. Point
Senator
of order,
Chirenge.
Mr. Speaker. Standing order number 91.
You are out of order, Senator Chirenge. You have the floor. Address the chair.
Mr. Speaker, point of order on 101, contents of the speech and standing order number 1. The Senator of Narok, my good friend, who happens to be the Deputy Minority Leader, should stop engaging a member directly. He should stop, Mr. Speaker. Instead of talking to Gloria directly, he should address Gloria through the chair. And that is what I'm just saying. So, Mr. Speaker, this is not a protest, my brother. Easy maandamano. Mr. Speaker, what I'm saying is that he should engage Senator Gloria through the seat, Mr. Speaker, through your chairmanship. Not assenting, Mr. Speaker. And we need protection. If there are people who want to do maandamano, they can go to Kamukunji. This is a house of rules and regulations. He should just address Senator Gloria through the chair, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, he's out of order.
Very well, Senator Chirenge. Senator Ledama, kindly proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I know people are excited to go on holiday, but being cantankerous should not be one of the excitements. Mr. Speaker, earlier on I indicated clearly that I support this motion because this will not be my first impeachment proceeding, or rather removal proceeding, that I participate in. I've sat here and I know the reasons why I was among the people who proposed that we go the committee way. Mr. Speaker, I sat on this very chair when we were removing Governor Mike Sonko. And my colleague who was sitting on the right, the majority leader, said to me, this is a political process. This is not a legal matter. On that day, I was naive. I sat there, I took my pen and paper, and I was following the arguments which were being made by the legal counsels for both parties. But ultimately, when it came to the point of us voting, I was not given an opportunity. Our standing orders do not give us an opportunity to now contribute and say, this is the reason why I will vote to impeach Mike Sonko, or these are the reason why I will not vote to impeach Mike Sonko. Mr. Speaker, it was simple. Come and vote. Article 123 of the Constitution. And this is to inform my dear sister, the nominated senator, what's her name? Senator Gloria, that ultimately, when it comes down to voting, only head of delegations are the ones who will vote. Elected senators. That is by the Constitution, that is not by Ledama or Lekena. So it doesn't matter whether the matter is so emotive. In fact, what will even give the governor an opportunity for a fair hearing is when a committee sits, looks at the issues, the evidence, go through. Mr. Speaker, when I sat here, even if I had my pen and paper and I can read very fast, I never got an opportunity to examine the evidence which was being presented for the removal.
Honorable senators, can you consult in law?
So, Mr. Speaker, like I said, I know this is an emotive issue. But for the first time, let us be seen as having given justice an opportunity. I particularly say that I would never participate, although it is my duty, I would never participate in a plenary session to remove a governor. Because what we do, we sit here, you know, the two parties argue their matters, they bring matters of law. We are not a court of law, we are quasi-judicial process. In fact, it is purely political. It has got nothing to do with law. We know very well when I listen to the charges you brought that have been read out, Mr. Speaker. You know, I will read Article 207 of the Constitution. I will read Section 109 of the PFM Act. But seriously, sitting down here as a senator, will I get an opportunity now to say, give me the evidence? Let me go through the evidence, the receipt that the governor authorized the spending of money at source. Those are accusations. Mr. Speaker, I think it is important for our colleagues to remember that this Senate does not impeach a governor. The impeachment happens in the county assembly. The county assembly are the ones who impeach the governor. Our job here is very simple. As per Article 181 of the Constitution, is to go through the law that was set up by this parliament, which is the County Governments Act, to go through the process of removal. In fact, it will come to a point whether we're looking at it. We're not going to be looking at it whether this is a man or a woman, or whether the members of the committee were former governors. I dare say that the two distinguished senators who are former governors are really well thought out, very intelligent leaders who can be able to guide this process. So, Mr. Speaker, as emotive as the matter might be, let us remember one thing, that we can today decide, let's change that committee, and we put all nominated women as senators. But when it comes to voting, will they vote? And the fact is, they will not vote. Mr. Speaker, we talked about the issue of men versus women. Those are very emotive issues. But when it comes to a process which is clearly defined by the Constitution, the only people who will vote are the leaders of the delegation. And by design, or rather by the way things are in this country, unfortunately, most of the people who are elected as senators are men. It is a very sad situation, but is that something now that we have to go back to the voters and tell them that make sure that tomorrow when there's a woman who wants to become a senator, elect her. We are talking about this issue of 2/3 gender. But really, should it be a big argument when we are discussing issues of whether to allow 11 of our colleagues? You know, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader, when he sits here, is a very intelligent gentleman. He's not a member of that committee. He chose other members of his party who he thought that would be able to ensure that they give justice to this lady. The minority leader also chose members on this side without looking at the gender. The only thing that we emphasize on was that you are removing a governor. When you are removing a governor, you as an elected senator traverse the entire county to seek for vote. That governor traversed the entire county. If you come and remove that governor and ultimately you don't even have a vote to determine whether she goes home or not, what will it help? So, Mr. Speaker, I want to beseech my colleagues here that let us not trivialize this matter. Let us not bring the issue of 2/3 gender rule to determine how we are going to defend devolution. You know, it is quite sad, Mr. Speaker, that we are sitting in this house today on a special sitting, barely 3 months since the Honorable Governor took office. These are very emotive matters that require sober minds. It requires us to sit down in a committee, go through all the evidence, and then when you come here, because ultimately it will come back to plenary. Mr. Speaker, when it comes to plenary, I want to hear whoever is going to be elected as the chairperson of that committee convincing me whether I should vote to send that governor home or to retain her. My job is really not to impeach a governor. There is no senator here who can impeach a governor. A governor can only be impeached by the MCS. Our job is just to go through. We actually will be working as if we are, what do you call it? Huh? You know, there's a word, they use it a lot in America. As a jury. So our job is like as a jury. So we'll be sitting there and saying, did they follow the law? One. Okay, if they presented evidence that the governor spent the money at source, Is it true? And then we leave the matters of the court to be dealt by the court. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I would like to beseech this House to support the committee way. Let us give the men and women who are put in that committee an opportunity to be able to go through the evidence, investigate the matter. Let's listen to the content of the motion is to investigate and determine whether or not the assembly followed the law. Mr. Speaker, finally, as I sit down, there are issues of preliminary orders that will come. You know, POs or preliminary objections. This House sitting in plenary will not give that governor an opportunity for the lawyers to argue as to why we should not proceed with this matter. But when we sit in a committee and you are brought in a PO from a high court of Kenya, you will get an opportunity to go through it. We have a very able secretariat who will be able to tell us, okay, we have matters either sub judice, this matter will become sub judice, or we are barred by the court. So let's stop this political process. And by then, the matter ends there. Mr. Speaker, we had a case of Taita Taveta. When it was brought before this House, we chose the committee way. When we chose the committee way, when they went, the first order of business was to seek whether there is a court order. When they saw that there was a court order, that matter rested there. So there's no one who will be prejudiced by us going through the committee. So, Mr. Speaker, I plead with my colleagues. Let us go through the committee way. We give these distinguished senators an opportunity to be able to investigate and save devolution. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
Senator Mungatano.
I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also share my thoughts. Mr. Speaker, President Woodrow Wilson, the 28th President of the United States, was quoted as saying, when Congress is in plenary, Congress is in exhibition. When Congress is in committee, Congress is at work. Mr. Speaker, let us put aside politics. Let us look at what is before us. What is before us is for us to determine, Mr. Speaker, whether we shall uphold the will of the people of Meru as opposed to the will of 68 members of County Assembly of Meru. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask my colleagues, none of us here is an expert on everything. No senator, Mr. Speaker, is an expert on everything. That is why, Mr. Speaker, we recede to committees so that we can have the benefit of expertise of people who know this stuff. Mr. Speaker, there are audit queries amongst the charges that you have read. Some are lawyers here, some are social scientists, some are engineers, some are traders. You cannot claim to be able to be so knowledgeable that here you are a lawyer, here you are an audit person, and you prosecute the matter in the manner and the depth at which it is required, Mr. Speaker. So I want to urge my fellow colleagues that if we have trust in the capacities of our fellow senators, let us give them that opportunity. And I wanted to ask my sister, Gloria, Senator Gloria, Honorable Senator Gloria, Distinguished Honorable Senator Gloria, Her Highness, did you say? Mr. Speaker, I wanted to request her to think about this, The issue of whether the governors who are being selected to sit in that committee former governors, balances. You can have one way of looking at it, you can have the other way of looking at it. The other way, Mr. Speaker, is that these governors have lived through these experiences, live experience, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, they will be of great use. They will be able to help the committee.
What is your point of order, Senator Gloria? I thought you've been decorated.
Mr. Speaker, I was at the floor of the House executing my point, and I was reprimanded for mentioning that 2 former governors will be sitting in that committee. Mr. Speaker, the same has been done by a male senator, and it is okay with the House. These are the things that I'm talking about. You should retract your statement referencing any former governor sitting in any committee with regards to the impeachment. That is what we are talking about, gender sensitivity.
Senator Gloria, I think Senator Mungatana was trying to look at the wealth of experience each of these proposed names bring to the committee. Senator Mungatana, proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I don't wish to be distracted in my train of thinking, but I want to urge my fellow friends and colleagues in this House, please, let us not be emotional about this thing. Let us put the correct people. And Mr. Speaker, when I'm looking at this list and commenting on the competences of the membership that has been proposed, I'm not out of order. When I say there are legal issues, and maybe we have lawyers there. When I say there are governance issues, and there are people who have been governors before, Mr. Speaker, I'm not out of order to say that the list that has been proposed, Mr. Speaker, is a competent list. And Mr. Speaker, I wanted also to point out this issue, that whenever we are forming committees, we try to bring regional balance. I have looked at this list, the proposed list, Mr. Speaker. I see that the category of regional balance has been met. The category of new and old members of this Senate has been met. Mr. Speaker, the category of those people who have been in that situation that the subject matter of this motion and those who have not been is met. Mr. Speaker, I don't see why we should spend time on this matter. I am urging this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm urging this House. Gerard Gay, Bwana, sit down, Bwana. You have not been given the floor. What's the problem with this guy? No, sit down, Bwana. Sit down, you're out of order. No, you cannot harass the speaker like that, Bwana. You sit down, Bwana. No.
Senator Mungatana, please just have your seat, please.
No, you can't harass the speaker.
Senator Mungatana,
yes.
Kindly have your seat. Thank you. Senator Chirangei, kindly go through your standing orders. You cannot come to the chair through combative ways. You cannot. You can only raise a point of order if the chair allows. And kindly, Senator Chirangei, kindly proceed, Senator Mungatana.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I was saying that the category of balancing the membership in terms of regional balance, Mr. Speaker, has been reached. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this House. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge this House.
Senator Mungatana, have a seat. Senator Chirangei, I want to refer you to Standing Order 121. 2. The Speaker may call a senator whose conduct is disorderly, which you are, to order. and A, caution the senator or order the senator to withdraw from the precincts of the Senate for the remainder of that 8 days sitting. I'm going to be lenient. I'm going to caution you, but you still proceed to take part in today's proceedings. Kindly, Senator Mungatana, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, Senator Onyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to first thank you, Mr. Speaker, for looking this way. Mr. Speaker, if you listen to the argument that Honorable Mungatana is making, he's actually giving a legitimization and an expression as to why he thinks we need to go and hold this exercise in committee. Already the presentation that has been made by none other than the majority leader, he said both options are on the table. I don't understand why he is arguing that according to him, the best way to conduct this exercise is through committee, and yet as members of the Senate, we must be allowed to vent and discuss this matter because we have issues which are outstanding. And I don't want to, Mr. Speaker, I don't want to be a rubber stamp on this exercise. Allow us to vent. Allow us to explain why we disagree with the majority leader. He may have his way, but allow us to have our way, our say.
Senator Onyonka,
yes,
that is exactly what is happening now. Senator Mungatana has taken a position. He wants to persuade you to go the committee way. Let us allow Senator Mungatana to make his contribution.
Thank you, sir.
I'm afraid,
but I hope you will also allow us to make our case.
Senator Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, as I take my seat, we have been told in submissions by previous speakers that what we are carrying out, Mr. Speaker, is a quasi-judicial function of this Senate. Mr. Speaker, every person who has appeared in a court of law knows...
Honorable Senators, may Senator Mungatana be heard in silence, please.
Mr. Speaker, can I be protected from Senator Cherargei? He is deliberately doing this so that I don't get to persuade other people.
Senator Mungatana, proceed.
Much obliged.
If you have an intervention, you press, you don't shout.
Much obliged. Mr. Speaker, I'm making my last point before I sit. The process we are engaged in, Mr. Speaker, is not ordinary Senate seeking. Mr. Speaker, it is a quasi-judicial function. Mr. Speaker, any person who has been in court, you know, Mr. Speaker, because you also share a legal background, you know, Mr. Speaker, that people must be given an opportunity to be heard. They must be given an opportunity to present their case. They must be given an opportunity to say why they think those charges are right, and the other side to say why they think those charges are wrong. Mr. Speaker, I wonder if it is possible to do that where all of us are seated. Mr. Speaker, that is why traditionally in every court, you give an opportunity when there's only one person listening.
Senator Cherargei. Senator Cherargei.
Throw him out, Mr. Speaker. Throw him out. Throw him out. Throw him out.
Senator Cherargei, I'm afraid. I'm afraid this should serve as a final caution to you. In the next few minutes, if you don't conduct yourself in an orderly manner, I'm afraid you may have to watch these proceedings from outside. Proceed and conclude your contribution, Senator
Yes,
Mungatana.
Mr. Speaker, I was just saying that a quasi-judicial process means that we are almost behaving like judges where we are. And then when a judge is sitting, Mr. Speaker, it is a different situation. It is better when there are fewer of us than when we are many of us. Because when we are many of us, Mr. Speaker, the whole mood becomes different. That's when you have the Gerard Gays and such people intervening, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm saying this, that if it is possible, Mr. Speaker,
order members, Senator Mgatana,
yes,
kindly retract.
I retract, Mr. Speaker. But I want to say, Mr. Speaker, normally, when people are so many in a group, it is not possible to get all the information that is necessary. So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm asking is this. Let us calm down. Let us have the opportunity to receive all this information through our colleagues. Mr. Speaker, we have trusted our colleagues to bring us information on bills regarding even the Constitution. Why not this one? Serious bills, Mr. Speaker, on money, on everything that pertains to our duties here. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge colleagues, let us trust our colleagues who are in this committee to do the right thing. They will bring the report, we will debate it, we can agree or disagree, but let us give them the opportunity to receive the evidence, to sit with experts, and to give us a proper report. Mr. Speaker, I support. Thank you.
Senator Ojenda, Prof.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 81B1, this House may sit by way of a committee, a special committee, to determine a petition of the nature brought before this House for the removal of the governor of Meru County. Mr. Speaker, under Standing Order 81B2, this House may proceed by way of plenary. And the leader of majority this afternoon has been very particular, Mr. Speaker, because the charges that have been brought under the provisions of Article 181, and I think my Senator Omtata got it wrong, under Section 30.
What is your point of order, Senator Methu?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Let's have a seat, Senator Ojeda.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I am listening to, and I would not have wished to disrupt the flow of thought of the good professor, but he's quoting an non-existent standing order. He's talking about 81, and it is not existent. 81 is the right to be heard. Okay, all right. Thank you, Speaker.
It's 08. Proceed, Prof. Just proceed.
I know my standing
proceed,
order.
Professor,
Yes,
proceed. I know you know your standing order. Just proceed.
Chairman of Wildlife and Land has not looked at the standing orders properly. Mr. Speaker, sir, under Order 80, Standing Order 81B2, this House may proceed by way of plenary. And Mr. Speaker, sir, an impeachment undertaken under Article 181 on the basis of gross violation of the Constitution, the commission of national or international crimes, and or abuse of the Constitution has thresholds, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I am happy, Mr. Speaker, sir, that I am not in any committee or in the special committee because I've defended one impeachment successfully, the latest impeachment of Governor Abdullahi. We defended him successfully in court, and the proceedings of this House were thrown out. I'm also lucky because I've proceeded before. I've defended another impeachment of Governor Waititu, and I was also involved in the impeachment of Governor Wambora. have a history of impeachments, but on the other side, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, the reason why members are protesting this afternoon is not because a choice of a committee under Standing Order 81B1 is not a good choice. No, I have told the Leader of Majority, Senator Aaron Cheriot, that it is not about the substance of the choices of senators who are in the committee. No, it is not whether they've been former governors serving. That is not the question, Mr. Speaker, sir, is the process. And the process could have been righted by holding a kamukunji or some form of consultation so that members on either side are informed of who goes into the committee. It is not about who sits in the committee, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I think none of the members who have spoken this afternoon has spoken to the inappropriateness, for instance, of Senator Luale sitting in the committee, no, or any other senator sitting in the committee, no. It is that neither the leader of minority, my learned brother, sitting right here, should have at least convened a kamukunji, Mr. Speaker, sir. I believe the same for the other side. You should have convened a kamukunji so that the names that would have found themselves, Mr. Speaker, sir, in the order paper would have been names that at least we knew and that we are aware, Mr. Speaker, sir, that there will be a committee. I will not say, Mr. Speaker, sir, that either method is better. But a plenary, Mr. Speaker, sir, affords members and all members, including first-term members like myself and Okenyuri, Senator Okenyuri, who is also serving here for the first time, an opportunity to follow proceedings from an impartial front, Mr. Speaker, sir. I'm informed, Mr. Speaker, sir, that such a proceeding will afford all members an opportunity to listen to the accusations and not just to sit here and wait for a report to be tabled before the Senate. Senator Methu was sharing with me this morning and whispered to me that he would be happy to listen to these proceedings so that a fair impeachment, a fair process of removal under Section 33 of the County Government Act, Mr. Speaker, sir, and this process must be fair. This is the first time, Mr. Speaker, sir, that a woman is appearing before Senate for impeachment. Second time. I think there was Governor Anwar Guru in the last Senate, in the 12th Senate. And I believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, that the gender card or the gender question may not be the strongest card in the constitution of this committee. Though I believe, Mr. Speaker, sir, that a number of 5 for women and 6 for men would have been a fairer balance in this committee. And I speak for women, Mr. Speaker, sir. It is not just because I have been a gender teacher, Mr. Speaker, sir, but I speak to the question of some level of fairness or a feeling of fairness of both women and men who sit in the Senate. But I wish to remind Senator Gloria that, Mr. Speaker, sir, should we proceed by way of plenary, she will not have a right to vote at the end of the process. Should an impeachment be made? But at least it is fair, Mr. Speaker, sir, that this be an all-inclusive process. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, sir, may I say this, Mr. Speaker, sir, that let us as Senate, whether we decide to go by way of committee or by way of plenary, have a process that is fair, that will give Governor Kawera Mwangaza an opportunity to defend herself, so that finally, if she's found to have breached the Constitution or found not to have breached the Constitution, it will have been a fair process that would speak to what Senate will do from now and in the future. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, let me point to this. It is not about the 67 members of the County Assembly. And I'm informed, Mr. Speaker, sir, that out of those 67 members, at least 21 of those members are from the UDA party, and another 20 from the Mbas party. That means, Mr. Speaker, sir, that we are facing an impeachment for the first time where the governor serving in that county does not belong to any party because she's an independent. This is therefore a very delicate impeachment. It should not therefore be made to appear, Mr. Speaker, sir, that any singular party in the committee that this House forms is from the party that forms the majority in the county assembly, and from the party that therefore was instrumental in the impeachment. So as you form the committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, and this is, for me, this is, since I have no interest in this process, let the committee be a committee that would speak to the fairness of this process. If it is plenary, Mr. Speaker, sir, let the process be fair. That is all I will say with respect to this matter, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
Honorable Senators, notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 111, in view of the number of senators wishing to speak to this motion, may I propose, subject to your concurrence, that we limit the time per speaker. Currently, we are doing 20 minutes per speaker. And with the number that I'm seeing on the screen, we may go beyond midnight. So with your concurrence, can we limit the time from 20 minutes maybe to 5 minutes? Do I have your concurrence? So clerk, time 5 minutes per senator. Senator Cheptumo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. Mr. Speaker, this special sitting is to achieve two things. One, to berate the charges preferred against the governor, which we have done. Two, is for this House to decide whether we will proceed through a special committee or the plenary. Mr. Speaker, this is the first impeachment in this parliament. And so the country is watching, the country is listening. And Mr. Speaker, our function under Article 96 of the Constitution to represent the counties and the county governments. This function today, Mr. Speaker, is in exercise of that particular article. But Mr. Speaker, I want to support the committee way for a very simple reason, Mr. Speaker. If you look at the function of this committee or the plenary, is to investigate the matter. Mr. Speaker, what is to investigate? If you read the Oxford Dictionary, Mr. Speaker, investigate means carry out a systematic, formal inquiry to discover and examine the facts so as to establish the truth. Mr. Speaker, I want to put a question to my colleagues and to this House. If we quote a plenary way, Mr. Speaker, can the plenary, Mr. Speaker, be able to carry out a systematic and formal inquiry? The answer to that question, Mr. Speaker, in my view, is a big no. Will it be able to discover and examine the facts with the intention of knowing the truth? Again, Mr. Speaker, the answer is no. That can be achieved, Mr. Speaker, through a special committee, because they will have a moment, a time to inquire systematically, formally, and discover and examine the facts laid before the committee. Mr. Speaker, there are 7 judges preferred against the governor from the impeachment motion. It will be difficult, Mr. Speaker, for this House, using the definition of that aspect of investigation to undertake that process and achieve a fair process, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it may be interesting for us to debate this House, Mr. Speaker, this matter. But remember, Mr. Speaker, our whole county is listening. Services and goods and services for the people of Meru County, Mr. Speaker. A Kenyan by the name of the governor is going through this situation. Mr. Speaker, this committee, if approved by the House, will be able to have a better time. Mr. Speaker, that is the reason why I support the committee way. Mr. Speaker, going committee way again does not prejudice members' right to again discuss this matter when the committee tables a report. So none of us, Mr. Speaker, will suffer prejudice of not being able to discuss this matter when the committee brings the report. What is only important, Mr. Speaker, in my view, is for the committee to be fair, to systematically and formally inquire into the issues in a fair manner. Mr. Speaker, this House is a special institution on matters of devolution. So that, Mr. Speaker, after this impeachment process, should there be any other impeachment thereafter, Mr. Speaker, we should be seen as a House that is.
Senator Mwinyi Haji Mohamed Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa kuchagua kamati maalumu ya kuchunguza madai yaliyoletwa katika bunge hili na kamati na bunge la kaunti ya Meru. Mheshimiwa Spika, kifungu cha 81 ya kanuni zetu kinasema kwamba bunge la Senate linaweza kwenda kwa njia ya bunge lote ama kwa njia ya kamati maalumu ya kuweza kuchunguza madai hayo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna ile tunaita umuhimu katika njia zote mbili katika kuchunguza swala hili. Na mpaka sasa nafikiri yaliyoletwa mbele ya bunge hili ni madai tu. Wakati bunge litakapokaa, makamati itakapokaa, ndio ule ushahidi kuthibitisha madai yale ndio ataweza kufikishwa mbele ya kamati ile ama bunge hili ili kuweza kuamua kama kweli mashtaka yana uzito ama hayana uzito. Kwa hivyo ningependa tu kusema kwa si kweli kwamba bunge hili sio mahakama. Sasa itakaa kama mahakama kuweza kuchunguza ukweli wa madai ambayo yamewasilishwa na bunge la kaunti ya Meru. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna uzito kuhusiana na madai ambayo yameletwa kwamba jinsia moja imepunjwa katika uteuzi wa komiti hii. Kuna uzito fulani Mheshimiwa Spika, na hatuwezi kuupuuza. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia ipo haja kwamba bunge hili, kwa kuwa ni bunge jipya na ni mara ya kwanza swala kama hili linafika katika bunge hili, ipo haja ya wabunge waweze kukaa wa kusikiza. Na nimeona leo japokuwa ni kamati maalumu, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kikao maalumu, tumeweza kupata karibu full house. Kila senator ameweza kuacha kazi zake akaja katika kituo hichi, na nina imani kwamba iwapo itafanywa kwamba ni bunge zima likae kusikiza madai haya, bunge hili litaweza kuvunja kazi zao, waweze kukaa hapa kusikiza kuanzia mwanzo mpaka mwisho na uamuzi uweze kutolewa. Kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kuweza kuwapa maseneta wapya fursa ya kuangalia masuala kama haya, ingekuwa bora, kwa kuwa hii ndio kesi ya kwanza tunasikiza katika masuala ya kuwachunguza magavana, wapewe fursa kupitia kwa kamati ya bunge zima kuweza kuchunguza swala hili, alafu uamuzi utakaotoka itakuwa ni funzo kwa wale ambao hawajapata fursa ya kuweza kuchunguza magavana kama hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo itakayofuata Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaweza kwenda katika kamati maalum, lakini kwa vile ni ya kwanza katika bunge hili, itakuwa bora tuichunguze kama bunge zima la Senate ili kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu ameweza kupata fursa ya kusikiza kesi ile. Wale ambao watakuwa wanalala, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni jukumu lao, kwa sababu hata sasa pia kuna wengine katika bunge hili wamelala, hawajui kitu gani kinachoendelea. Kwa hivyo swala kwamba baadhi ya maseneta watakuwa hawana hamu ya kusikiza ushahidi, hiyo ni singizio tunakuweza kukataa mfumo huu. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile pia hata katika kamati, sisi tunajua kamati zetu nyingi za Senate zikikaa katika vikao ni wachache wanaochangia masuala yaliyokuwa katika kamati. Kwa hivyo hiyo itakuwa sio mara ya kwanza kufanya hivyo, na tungeomba Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba kwa kuwa hii ni ya kwanza katika bunge hili, tungependa ifanyike katika kikao cha bunge zima ili tuweze kusoma wale ambao hawajaweza kufuata swala kama hili, nao pia waweze kupata ujuzi ama uzoefu wa masuala kama haya. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, this Parliament has a history. It has tradition of handling emotive, sensitive issues. I want to remind colleagues that when Josiah Mwangi Kariuki was killed, the matter was handled in this very house by a committee. When Robert Ouko was killed, the matter was handled in this house by a committee. Mr. Speaker, when we are dealing with the greatest oversight role of this house, it is discharged through the Committee of Public Accounts and Committee of Public Investments. A committee. It is not by accident that such emotive issues are taken to committees. Today, we are making a decision whether the governor of Meru should be tried. She's on trial. She is on trial. Whether she should be tried in the Committee of the Whole or this special committee. Learning from the traditions, customs, and practices of this house, the natural thing would be we drink from the glass of wisdom of the members of Parliament who came before us. Mr. Speaker, my second comment is that the people of Meru are anxiously waiting for what we are doing and the Republic of Kenya in its entirety. They are glued on the television sets. They want to see and are following what we are doing. They would like to find out, can these senators rise to the apex enough to be trusted, not with listening to the impeachment of a governor, but can they be trusted if a day was to come, God forbid, when they were to sit on the trial of removal of a president? This is what the dress rehearsal is about in the eyes of Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, sir, I kindly request colleagues that if what Senator Gloria has said is true, the person to blame is not us, the plenary. She has a leader of the majority who went through a process that informed him to take certain people on his side and others were left. Let her not bring it here. Same to the minority side. The matter is so important that we would be catwalking if we thought that today we are meeting to make a decision on gender. No. Mr. Speaker, you have read out the charges. Not the first, not the second. None of them is it about gender. It is about issues which we don't know about. Senator, just allow me to finish. I never objected to you.
Senator
Hold my
Gloria,
time.
May the
I
Senator
appeal.
for Kakamega be heard is silent.
Yes, I appeal to you. I know you have
Senator,
promised.
proceed. Don't start a debate.
Thank you. I know that she has promised that she wants to school me in matters gender. Really? Really? I was elected by over 250,000 people in Kakamega, men and women. And the women were the majority. So I know issues of gender. I have many children. The majority of them are girls. I know matters of gender. Mr. Speaker, I have got more than one wife. I know matters of gender. She can't school me. Excuse me, my daughter. You have to apologize to the bullfighter of Kakamega.
Order, members. To us,
my last point, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Boni, to us, you're an honorable senator. We don't see you as a bullfighter. Kindly conclude.
Thank you. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, I look at the 11 distinguished senators who have made their way on this committee. And Mr. Speaker, I single out Senator Mandago and Senator Ali Roba. If you are forming, Mr. Speaker, just 1 minute, my time was wasted. 1 minute, I conclude.
Senator Gloria, please allow the senator to conclude. Conclude, Senator. I'm afraid, Senator Boni, your time is spent. Senator Edwin Sifuna.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also contribute to the motion. And for the record, I rise to support the motion that we proceed by way of committee. Mr. Speaker, as I understand the mandate of this committee and has been submitted by my colleagues, is to investigate and find out and report to this House whether indeed the matters, the allegations that you've read out against the governor are substantiated. So that, Mr. Speaker, all this committee is supposed to do, if the accusation is that there has been nepotism exercised by the governor, to report back to this House and say, yes, that allegation has been substantiated. On the question of illegal appointments, yes, it has been substantiated or not. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to encourage Senator Gloria to understand that, in fact, if you go percentage-wise, Mr. Speaker, percentage-wise, to have 3 women out of a committee of 11 is actually greater than to have 3 women out of 47 elected senators deciding on a matter. Because, Mr. Speaker, as you know, when it comes to the question of the vote,
Senator Gloria, what is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, my point of order is that there are senators who are misleading the House on facts and on matters numbers. And Mr. Speaker, my point of order, even to Senator Boni Walale and to Senator Edwin Sifuna, is that you cannot come to Senate and actually institute discrimination by trying to convince this House that there is a formula that says that when you have less women at the table of representation, that is the formula that Kenyans should accept because it works best for gender. That is misleading the House. And this is not a matter about bullfighting or how many women or 3 against. This is a matter of representation. And Mr. Speaker, you should not allow the conversations that are going on in this House to continue, because this is a house of order. This is a house that respects women, and this is a house that is supposed to actually ensure that Governor Kawera gets a fair hearing. My point of order is that Senator Edwin Sifuna is misleading the House by trying to tell the House that the formula of 3 women senators against basically out of 11, 3 women senators, that is the best formula to have women represented in this committee. Mr. Speaker, you can see why we have an issue with this. This is exactly the reason why we cannot entrust people who are actually disregarding women in this House. That is my point of order.
Senator Gloria, you cannot stand on a point of order.
It was my point of order.
To the sherry. Kindly proceed and conclude. And please allow Senator Sifuna to recover his time.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am not a math teacher, but I will help the House. It is not misleading, Mr. Speaker, because you have the list of the number of women senators elected out of the 47 counties. We only know the senator from Nakuru, my sister from Machakos, and the good lady from Isiolo. What we are saying is, if you do a basic arithmetic, 3 out of 47 is smaller. It's actually 6%. Compared to 3 out of 11 is a bigger fraction. That's what I'm saying. But Mr. Speaker, that being beside the point, let it be known that I'm not trying to mislead this House. I am a firm believer in equality, Mr. Speaker, that in fact, every woman has the same capacity to misconduct herself as the men. So, Mr. Speaker, this is not a question that should be viewed through the lenses of gender. What we want to do, whether we establish the committee or whether we proceed by the whole House, Mr. Speaker, is to find out indeed, is it true, the allegations that have been laid against the governor? In this particular question, we are supposed to be blind. Justice is blind. We do not see color, we do not see gender, we do not see ethnicity, Mr. Speaker. We are just looking at the allegations that have been leveled vis-a-vis, the law. Mr. Speaker, I am also a firm believer that in fact there is no grace period for misconduct. You know, the question of how long it should take before you start raising these questions has been raised in a public forum. I have seen people misconduct themselves even with the oath of office when they are taking oath of office, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker,
may the senator be heard in silence, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Glory. Kindly proceed and conclude your contribution.
Mr. Speaker, therefore, what I want to encourage this House, because I was feeling the weight of responsibility as a person who's been proposed to sit on this committee, somebody who's supposed to miss Christmas with his family. But I can see the mood in the House is that maybe all of us should miss Christmas, which is okay for me. I don't have a problem. I am just saying, Mr. Speaker, that I wish I was not part of that committee, that it was Senator Gloria here sitting here to spend her Christmas here. But if you want us all to spend Christmas here, it is also okay, Mr. Speaker. So, in conclusion, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Gloria, we are not in some market in the outskirts of Nairobi. If you need to make a point of order, you press the button. It will be upon the chair to give you the platform or to deny you the platform. Kindly proceed.
Mr. Speaker, can I conclude? Because we were with you here, Mr. Speaker, just a few weeks ago when there were the Yala games going on. And it's a similar thing with the Christmas holidays, Mr. Speaker. We had problems raising quorum in this House, Mr. Speaker, if you remember, because most of the members chose to go to Juba. We are going to have the same problem. These people are just saying here, oh, we want the whole House, we want the whole House. But we know the members of this House who are committed to come and actually prosecute matters here, Mr. Speaker. So we might have better success. Mr. Speaker, I need your protection. Mr. Speaker, I need your protection. Because this is something we have experienced, Mr. Speaker. That in fact
Senator Sifuna, just take a seat. Honorable Senators, it is not the wish of the chair to send any senator out of these chambers. But that's my wish, and may not necessarily carry the day today. The standing orders will carry the day today. Senator Gloria, I'm cautioning you under Standing Order 121. Should you proceed in the manner you're proceeding, I'm afraid the standing orders may have their way. Conclude, Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The point that I was making, Mr. Speaker, is previous experience has shown that in fact we might get a lot more work and ground covered in committee than in plenary because of the issues that I have raised regarding the question of quorum. So, Mr. Speaker, to just conclude and allow my colleagues to also contribute, I rise to support this, and not because I'm a member of that committee. I would very happily cede this particular position to anybody else who wants to release me to go and have Christmas with my children. It will not be a bad thing, Mr. Speaker. I thank you.
Senator Methu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I would first wish to state that I rise to support the motion of having 11 of us look at the evidence that has been brought by the County Assembly of Meru. And first and foremost, Mr. Speaker, I would really wish to state that all of us in this Senate, we enjoy the same space and scope of duty. And I believe, having looked at the members who are there, I'm completely satisfied that they'll be able to take up on this job. I am particularly impressed, Mr. Speaker, that the Senate Business Committee and the Leader of Majority and Leader of Minority have given especially first-timers and young people an opportunity to serve in this committee. I've seen my colleagues, the Senator Karongo Adhangwa, I've seen Senator S.C. Okenyuri, I've seen Senator Eddie Gicheru, young people who are ambitious and they want to learn, and they will be able to tap into the experience that has been spoken about by my brother Senator Giduku. I hear by extension that Senator Sifuna is a young man. I don't know. I only hear that he's a young person. Although he does not appear to be what people impute, but anyway, I'll include him in that list of the young people because he's also coming in as a first-timer. Mr. Speaker, I would also wish to say this. In as far as we are looking at this matter, it is not really fair for anybody to impute that because the governor for Meru is a woman, they are supposed to be given special consideration. That the other time that the governor for another county who be a man is here, then he can be allowed to be dealt with by the Akina Medus, Akina Redama, Akina Charagays of this world. There's no problem. But because this one is a woman, then we should treat her and put more women in it. Then I would say that the other time that you have a man, then probably men would demand that all of us would be in that committee so that we're able to also take care of the men. I am personally a gender sensitive person. I do not need the schooling that was offered by our colleague. I actually did it from home. I'm a father of 3 girls and 1 boy. So I think the rest ones are just around my home. I'm able to look at and take care of them. Finally, Mr. Speaker, it is actually, and the Senator for Nairobi has spoken about it, it's actually that our colleagues are taking the burden off our shoulders. It is them that will be able to look at, and I've seen the charges, there are so many. They are supposed to look at all the charges one by one and look at the evidence that is being adduced one by one, and then they will be able to make a determination on whether the charges are correct or not correct, there are facts to it or no facts to it. And so our colleagues, the 11 that will be in that committee, I would wish to wish you all the best. It is quite unfortunate that you not be able to enjoy Christmas with your people, but it is the cost of service. That is why you run for positions. That is why you are allowed to serve as senators. I know the Leader of Majority has said that from the conduct, I don't know what lenses the Leader of Majority is using. He's saying that in his own preliminary observations, we may be getting more customers in the coming days. I would really hope that we do not get customers for the next 5 years, because the more customers we get, the more unstable our counties are getting. So, Mr. Speaker, I support. I wish the committee all the best. I will be here to help you and support you in whatever support you require. And I might actually offer to come as a friend of the committee, because I'm not. I'm just a neighbor. Nyandaro is just here. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity to address this honorable House. First and foremost, I would like to correct an impression created by Senator Halwale that this is a rehearsal for impeaching the president. It is not. Somebody's life and the consequences of an impeachment are not a rehearsal. Somebody is banned from public office for life. So please, this is not a rehearsal. This is a matter of life and death for the Senator of Meru, Governor of Meru. I am entertained. Now, secondly, so it's a matter of life for the governor of Meru, and we should give it the seriousness it deserves. It's not a rehearsal.
Is your point of order, Senator Cheptumo?
Mr. Speaker, the senator for Meru seated here. It is scaring for the member to say it is a matter of life and death for him. Mr. Speaker, this is a house of record. The senator of Meru is not in any danger. Isn't it fair, Mr. Speaker, for him to withdraw that part of the... I think it is important.
Senator Omtata, kindly do not instill fear in your statement.
I think the Honorable Senator Cheptumo had taken a nap because I withdrew and corrected. So he had taken a nap and he missed my withdrawal. But it's understandable, we are around Christmas. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I withdrew. Or may I say, Mr. Speaker, sir?
Cheptumo, may the senator be heard in silence, please.
For the benefit of my friend Cheptumo, I withdraw and apologize profusely to the Deputy Speaker. And to him for having missed out on what I said earlier. So, when I proceed, Honorable Speaker, I think the problem we are having in this House is that the text of Standing Order number 80, clause 1B, and I think Professor Ojenda touched on it. What is disturbing some of us is the process being called into this House to endorse a list. What I would suppose, and that's why I'm opposing this motion partially, that list should be trashed, and the Senate by resolution makes the list if we have to go the committee way. I agree there's leadership in the House, but then they doesn't say the leadership of the House shall. It says the Senate shall. You may be having a practice that has been going against the standing orders, and they should end here. Secondly, yes, niko kwa chamba mtu mmoja, lakini ni chamba.
Senator, just proceed and make your contribution.
So, my Lord, Mr. Speaker, sir, if I conclude, the committee process, much as it has been praised here, we have the evidence of what happened in the impeachment of Governor Wairia. And
Senators, can we hear Senator Mtata in silence, please? Proceed.
And there were heavy complaints that the committee process did not work. In the Sonko impeachment, the committee was abandoned. It came back to the plenary. So, I would really say that we should be allowed under order number 38 to have a small break where we can have a kamkunji and then we agree on the way forward. So I'm requesting that under order 38 we be given a kamkunji.
The request is declined. Senator Sigei Hillary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also rise to support this motion, and for very few but very important reasons. Mr. Speaker, we have heard from the people who have spoken to the reasons as to why we go for the committee or for the plenary. And as I do that, Mr. Speaker, I want to dissuade the House from the notion that while the majority leader and the minority leader was asking the House to support the motion, they played to the mind of the fact that plenary might not necessarily be able to do a detailed discussion on the matter. I am aware that the whole House comprised of senators who are competent enough. They can read, they can write, they can analyze, they can synthesize the issues as per the charges which you read before the floor of the House today. That, however, Mr. Speaker, cannot be deemed to be the reason as to why we would go for committee or the plenary. I want to support the committee for the reason that out of experience, there is much that can be done by 11 people and not by 47 people or 67 senators. The 11 members who have been selected by the House leadership comprise competent women and men who will be able to distill on the charges that has been placed before the House. And Mr. Speaker, ultimately, it is not in the place of the committee to make decisions on behalf of the plenary. I think it should not be lost on us that at the end of the session that the committee that has been selected have debated and come up with a report, it is the plenary that will make a decision on the basis of the report that that committee will have presented before the House. Mr. Speaker, as I support further, for purposes of the comfort of the women senators here, I would equally like to bring to the attention of the Honorable Senator Gloria Orwoba that the women and men in this House are all equal. We cannot speak on one side hot and cold, saying that we're equal, and on the other side saying the lesser the number, we are unable to advance the interest of the other gender. I am convinced that the team that has been picked has not necessarily been picked on the basis of the gender. They have been picked because they are senators, they are qualified, they are members of this House, and they are able to prosecute the issue that is before the Senate. And for her comfort, therefore, the 3 members of the committee are competent enough, and they will be taking the issue beyond the gender. They'll be discussing the issue beyond the gender of either themselves or the candidate who is the governor of the county of Meru. If, Mr. Speaker, we take our emotions beyond the issues which we are supposed to discuss, we will, as a matter of fact, forget about the charges and deal with whether it is a woman or a man. Mr. Speaker, I support the setting up of the committee because at the end of it all, we will, as a House, pass at the plenary the report, discuss it, comment on it, whether they have met the threshold or not. And Mr. Speaker, the choice that the leadership made was not plucked from nowhere. It is provided for in the standing orders of this House, and that choice has been given for the reason that it is better because the people of Meru, the country, is looking up to this House to make a just decision on the charges that have been brought against the governor of Meru. And Mr. Speaker, I support the motion. I thank you.
Senator Kinyua.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kwanza kabisa nataka kushukuru kwa kunipa fursa hii. Na mimi nasimama kuunga mkono ya kwamba tuende kutumia kamati. Kisa na maana Bwana Spika ni kwa sababu kamati itaweza kuangazia shutuma ambazo zimewekwa dhidi ya yule governor, wataziangazia kwa undani. Kwa sababu sisi maseneta wote tu wakati mimi nimekuwa hapa kuanzia mhula uliopita. Na Bwana Spika, wakati tulifanya hii impeachment kwa njia ya kamati nzima, kwa njia ya seneti nzima, hatukuweza kuangazia yale maswala kwa kindani Bwana Spika. Kwa hivyo siku ya leo Bwana Spika, mimi nataka kuunga mkono kamati kwa sababu wale walio katika kamati ile ni watu ambao ni wazoefu katika kazi zao. Ukiangalia kama magavana walioko, uangalie gavana Mandago, sasa ni senator, uangalie gavana Roba, hawa ni watu ambao masuala yatakayokuwa yakiongewa pale wataweza kuyafahamu kwa undani kabisa. Angalia wa kike ambao nimesikia hapa kukiwa na vurugu kidogo, maseneta wa kike hawakujumuishwa. Bwana Spika, huu itaonekana sisi hatufahamu mambo vizuri kwa sababu maseneta walio hapa wa kike wamejumuishwa. Angalia Seneta Tobiko amewekwa pale na yeye ni mzoefu, amekuwa katika siasa miaka mingi. Angalia tuna seneta ambaye anaitwa Esther, tuna seneta Kavindu. Bwana Spika, wale ni watu ambao wataweza kuyachanganua haya maswala. Mambo ya kuambiwa kwamba kutakuwa na mambo ya kuangalia jinsia, hatutakuwa kukiangaliwa jinsia, tutaangalia yale tuhuma zilizoletwa ya yule governor, na yale mambo yatakayoangaliwa na viongozi hawa watakuwa wakiangalia kwa kindani na kipana. Watu wa Meru wangelitaka nini, Bwana Spika? Kwa sababu watu wa Meru ndio waliofanya uchaguzi ule. Lakini baada ya haya masomo yote, Bwana Spika, kuangaliwa, sisi kama bunge tutaitwa wote tuweze kusema ya kwamba haya maswala yaangaliwa kivipi, na kwa sababu tuna jukumu lingine tutapatwa fursa ya kuweza kuangalia ikiwa hii kamati yenyewe itaona kuna mambo ambayo tutakuwa na dosari fulani ama kuna tuhuma moja ambayo wameona ni mbaya. Nina hakika tukiwa na Seneta Sifuna ambaye najua ni mzoefu wa mambo ya kisheria, ninaona kuna vijana, angalia kama kuna Kechi na Kamau. Hawa ni watu, Bwana Spika, sijui ni kwa nini mtu yeyote, maseneta wote walio hapa, pengine kile ambacho wangetaka, kwa sababu ndio nimewasikiza wengine wanasema ya kwamba ati ikifanywa ile impeachment ikifanywa katika jumba hili, tukifanya tukiwa wote, ati ya kwamba tutajua maswala yanavyoendelea. Bwana Spika, hakuna jambo linafanywa katika seneti, katika kamati bila kuandika. Hawa ndugu zetu wataandika yote ambayo wamesema na yale ambayo wamefanya, na kwa sababu wana seneta wote hapa ni wasomi, Bwana Spika, mimi najua wataweza kusoma na kujua, watasoma hata zaidi. Lakini kile kimenistua, Bwana Spika, ni kwamba nimemsikiza seneta wa kutoka Busia, Bwana Spika. Seneta wa kutoka Busia anataka kuleta matata, Bwana Spika, akiwa ni seneta mtata, kwa sababu ameleta mambo mengine mapya ambayo anataka kutuelekeza, kutuambia kwanza tusimame shughuli za bunge, tufanye mikutano ya Kamukunji na maandamano. Bwana Spika, hatutaki mambo kama hayo. Sisi siku ya leo, Bwana Spika, tunamaliza hii shughuli, pengine kama kutakuwa na Kamukunji ni baada ya masaa yaliyowekwa katika seneti hii, lakini kutuambia tutoke kando kutufanye hiyo, Bwana Spika, atakuwa akiongoza seneti hii katika shughuli ambazo sisi hatujazizoea. Lakini nakumkubalia kwa sababu pengine ndio anajifunza mambo ya seneti, amekuwa akishughulika katika koti. Mimi yeye na samahani kwake, Bwana Spika, hata nimesikia akikuita jaji, wewe ni Bwana Spika. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Wambua.
Mr. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to make a comment and contribute to this motion. And from the word go, Mr. Speaker, I want to state emphatically that I support the motion. Number two, Mr. Speaker, I'll be very brief, is to congratulate the members that have been appointed to sit in the committee. When you look at the names that have been floated by both the majority and the minority leaders, the Speaker, the names of people that are very, very competent in very, very many fields. And it is always good, Mr. Speaker, that when you're dealing with a matter as a Senate, it's always important to look at individual competencies of members that you appoint to committees so that they can bring some expertise and decisional memory into the matter under discussion. Next time, Mr. Speaker, there will be an issue to deal with the media. I want to advise the leadership on both sides to consider including Senator Enoch Wambua in that list, because I am a journalist of long and good standing. It is well to say that to have two former governors in this committee brings on board expertise on matters governance. And the issues being challenged here are issues to do with governance. Not many of us here have been governors or speaker. It's a privilege for this Senate to have Senator Roba and Senator Madago seated here as former governors, because when there are issues of governance, then they come in not just as senators, but as resource persons on matters governance. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of procedure, because I think that's where I see some bit of deviation between those who support and those who don't support. The Speaker, I will invite us, all of us, including myself, to honestly and seriously study and understand the third schedule of our own standing orders dealing with matters of the removal of a governor by way of impeachment. The Speaker, that schedule is very, very explicit. It has two parts. There is a part that deals with using the plenary way of impeachment. And if you allow me, the Speaker, to make reference, Rule 28 of the third schedule. It states very clearly that except as otherwise provided in these rules, or as the Speaker may, for exceptional reasons to be stated, determine, the proceedings of the Senate for the hearing of evidence shall be held in public. The Speaker, that is on the first part that deals with plenary. On the second part that deals with the select committee, rule number 29. The proceedings of the committee of the hearing of evidence shall be held in public. So there is no jeopardy suffered anywhere, whether we go plenary or we go the committee way. On the issue of the names, the specifics of the names, the Speaker, there are only 11 slots. It is not possible that we go the plenary, the committee way, and every senator is a member of that committee. There has to be 11 senators who will be members of the committee, and the rest of us will sit back and receive the report from our colleagues. We will have an opportunity to speak to that report. The Speaker, it is important that as we debate the way to go, we are properly guided by our own standing orders, so that we don't even create wrong impressions that perhaps we don't really understand.
Senator Joyce. Senator Joyce.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to support the motion that has been brought by the able majority leader on the issue of choosing the way to proceed to the trials of the impeachment of governor from Meru County. Honorable Speaker, I've had my colleagues debate and share a number of experience, and I want to say this, Honorable Speaker, that the reason why we support the committee is because, Speaker, despite the fact that the list has been named, any member from this House is not denied or restricted to go and follow the proceedings of that particular committee. Honorable Speaker, I also want to say that it is good as at now that the Senate is fully constituted. We have former MCS, we have former speakers, we have former governors, and I want to say that the list that has been brought up by either the majority or minority is a list that it consists of members who are competent enough to assist us in terms of bringing up a report that can be tabled in this House and can allow members to ventilate on it and have a conclusion. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that the honorable members of the County Assembly have a right to do the oversight role, and that is why they have done whatever they have done. The honorable governor has a right also to be heard. The members or the public, or the members of the public from the Meru County have a right to be served, Honorable Speaker. So the whole House that can assist them to be able to get the right service and to be able to have everyone play his role or her role is through the Senate, Honorable Speaker. So I don't want to say much, but I just want to say, Honorable Speaker, we support the committee way to be able to start this trial. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Onyonka.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to, excuse me, I'm having a flu, so my voice is not very good. I would like to say just a few words in my contribution to this matter. And the reason for that is that the expectation of Kenyans on this matter is very high. And the reason for that is that this is going to be the first impeachment motion that is going to be tabled on the floor of this House, or rather tabled at the Senate. What I would wish for is that we take the evidence as it will come and we analyze it effectively, honestly, and with fairness, Mr. Speaker, so that the presentations that will be made should be a reflection of fairness and should be a reflection of the true issues that have happened in Meru. Because indeed, Mr. Speaker, what you see actually happening in Meru is not that it's not happening in other areas. There are certain substantive issues that have come up in some of the county governments. But indeed, when you look at the 47 counties, I would say out of the 47, maybe 3 or 4 could be having a problem. Mr. Speaker, I don't have a problem at all having the committee that has been selected so that they can then interrogate this issue effectively and make sure that we come to the conclusion of this matter fairly, where Governor Kawira is handled with dignity and decency, and where also the members of the County Assembly, because their responsibility is to oversight the governor. Mr. Speaker, the other issue I wanted to raise is that we have borrowed heavily from the American system. If you look at what happened when Donald Trump as president was being impeached, it was the whole House that actually discussed him, that actually tabled the evidence, and that put that evidence on the floor, and the members then of Congress had to vote to decide whether he was guilty or not. When you come to the issue of January the 6th, then there was a deliberate attempt to create a committee. The reason for that is that the committee had to have expertise, the committee had to have people who are going to analyze the issue point by point to make sure that the matter that was going to be discussed didn't get lost. I actually was going to be against this motion, Mr. Speaker. I would like to say that for now, I want to support the motion. I hope that whatever deliberations you have at the committee level, make sure that those deliberations are fair, and make sure that the people of Meru get what they deserve, including my able senator, the Deputy Speaker of this House. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honorable Chiranke.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. One is that I rise to oppose this motion, Mr. Speaker, on 3 facts. History will judge us harshly. All impeachment proceedings that have gone to committee have become negative. They have become like laundry processes where governors who accusations are faced have come back. And many people are not correcting this, Mr. Speaker. I want for the benefit of new members, if the committee sits and they find out that the charges are negative, that matter rests there. So I want to advise my colleagues who are excited that this matter will come back and they'll have a second bite of the cherry. They are not lucky. Mr. Speaker, when you look at Section 33 and Standing Order number 80, the issues that have been raised by Meru, MCS, Mr. Speaker, and other stakeholders is a weighty matter, Mr. Speaker. I want each and every senator, we sit in plenary. It becomes a learning process. We question. Mr. Speaker, the impression that we are creating outside there is that 11 are better than 67, which is not the position. Because, Mr. Speaker, in that plenary session, you will be the one presiding over. Unless we are casting aspersion outside the 11 members by saying the 11 members are better than others, Mr. Speaker. Number 2, Mr. Speaker, because I'll only make 3 points. The selection process, there was no consultation. When Jubilee was in power, we fought the same thing at that time. Because people were being elected, selected, and there was no consultation. What happened? It became very bad. And I want to ask my brother, Senator Eddie, don't travel this part. It is very costly and slippery, as the Bible says. Mr. Speaker, number 4 is when you look at Section 33. Unless, I've had people saying, I don't have a problem with my colleagues, my brother, Senator Mandago and Senator Roba. They are qualified. Unless you are telling us who are former butchers that we are not qualified to sit simply because we were selling meat. We were butchers in Mosoria Trading Center. We are not qualified to sit there. These members, including my sister, Senator Crystal, can sit in that committee. Mr. Speaker, this is a travesty of injustice. And my worry, the people of Meru shall not receive justice. Either Meru will hang on the strings of guitar, or in the words of Beyond Politics, a conversation with Kiraitu Murungi, who described the accused as a political fraud, both religion and political. Number 3, or we give them the skunk the way they came with it. But as a Senate, as we protect devolution, how can we tell the nation we are protecting devolution when we have relegated our role to 11 people because we simply want to go for Christmas? Mr. Speaker, history will judge us harshly. I have no problem. All these people are competent. But the process on how it was
arrived... What is your point
arrived,
of order, Senator
I hope
Joyce?
you will hold my time, Mr. Speaker.
What is your point of order, Senator Joyce?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to know whether the Honorable is in order to mislead this House that unless their names are in the list, that is when they can talk of having the committee transact the trials. Because he is alleging that because he was a butcher, he is not in the list. Is he in order, Honorable Speaker?
Chirangei, is it true that you are a butcher before you made it here?
Mr. Speaker,
conclude, please.
Some of us who are come from harsh background, we had to do everything to survive. And with tremendous respect to my sister, I don't want to respond along that line. My concern is this. Let us stand with the people of Meru. I want Governor Kagwira Mwangaza receive justice. I want the people of Meru to receive justice. I want MCS to receive justice. But Mr. Speaker, if we allow this motion to pass, this will be the greatest injustice that will ever be presided at the inaugural stages of this Senate, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, we don't have a doubt. Then in future, anything that concerns counties, we should send the former governors to go and do it. And then we go and sleep. We go and sleep, Mr. Speaker, if that is the situation. Because even you, Mr. Speaker, you should have sat in that committee. Mr. Speaker, they refer to former governors.
What is your point of order, Senator Roba?
Hold my time.
Is it in order, Senator Cherargei, to make a statement? We are here in our capacity as popularly elected, constitutionally mandated senators to execute the functions of Senate as so required by law. Is it in order by Senator Cherargei for him to make any reference contrary to that by way of saying in future we will delegate mandates to former governors to do? We are here in substantive capacity as a senator, just like you. mandated legally, just like you, to execute our mandates legally, just like you. Is it in order? Thank you.
Mr. Chirange, I know you've been in this house. You should be serving your second term. And you must be familiar with the basic standing orders. That when a member rises on a point of order, you yield, you sit down. It's very express in the standing orders. So kindly abide by the rules.
My apologies, Mr. Speaker.
On the point of order,
yes.
Indeed, to that extent, you're out of order. Kindly retract that statement and proceed.
Mr. Speaker, I don't want to give credit and contempt to what Senator Roba has said. In conclusion, it is always good to stand
Senator
when you are on the right. To always,
Senator
even it means.
Chirange,
yes, Mr. Speaker.
You've made a statement.
Yes.
To the extent that in future, any matters touching on counties, we can as well just send governors, former governors. It is that statement that you need to retract.
Okay. Mr. Speaker, I think it is a fact that there are former governors who are senators in this house. And I said maybe. It doesn't mean that they can never be in any committee. I didn't say they shall be, Mr. Speaker. So I think the answer should bear me.
Senator Wamatinga and Senator Chirange, with that way of prosecuting business, you will be finding yourself not in the best position going forward. I am not threatening you. I am telling you as the chair, I'm cautioning you, a power that has been given to me by the standing orders. Senator Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I stand to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me start by saying that whenever I close that bar, or any other senator closes that bar, I do not look at them in terms of gender. I look at them like honorable members of this house. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm a businessman and I know where we have organizational structures. I know where you delegate responsibilities, and I do also understand the efficiency of managing most of the most complex matters are better dealt with by selected team which is dedicated to doing that. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm also alive to the fact that most of the businesses in this house are conducted through committees. The fact that the minority and the majority leader found it fit to constitute an 11-member committee composed of both ranking and new members, I find it very, very commendable. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, I must also say this. As a new member of this House, Mr. Speaker, at times I find that the standing orders that comes really interprets the flow of thought of the members, and some of us who are new here, they are actually feel intimidated, especially when ranking members have to keep on lacing the point of orders.
What is your point of order, Senator Eddie?
Mr. Speaker, I don't know whether you've just noticed Senator Cherargei crossing the floor without honoring the simple orders of this House and not bowing to the Speaker. It's so irritating.
Senator Chirange, have your seat. You're very lucky that the chair did not notice that. But going forward, Senator Chirange, you're becoming a habitual disorderly senator. I can caution you for so many times. But a time will come when I may have to ask you to leave the chambers. the next time I rise on my feet to address you, I'll be sending you out of the chambers. Kindly proceed, Senator Amatenga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. That's exactly why I think going the committee way would actually be the most efficient way of doing this, because some members, without wanting to refer to any senator, have become habitual disturbers that they'll never let anybody finish anything, which is actually quite unfortunate. What I was saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, in business world, why we form special teams is because you want to be efficient, you want to be thorough. It would be almost impossible, Mr. Speaker, sir, to peruse all the documents there as a plenary here. I think the questions that will arise, Mr. Speaker, sir, will take ages to complete. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, sir, this process is time-bound. There is time after which it must be finished. That will only be possible, Mr. Speaker, sir, if we go the committee way. Finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would want to urge the House, as it has been said before, nobody is locked out from attending any proceedings of the committee. If you are so passionate about following the proceedings or being part of it, then I think it is still open to go and be a part of the 11-member committee without actually assuming that if your name misses on the list, then we do not stand a chance of delivering what would be fair. Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, I would want to believe that when the committee presents its report in the House, we have a chance to also give our input depending on the findings. I therefore think that it would, for the sake of time, and this being Christmas period where most of us will be engaged elsewhere, I think it is best we go the committee way so that they can dedicate the time and the resources that are required so that they can come up with the findings within the required time. I therefore stand to support. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity to also raise my voice on this motion. Mr. Speaker, I was very sympathetic to the Cherargei group, but you know, he gave up very fast. And now I can see many of the members who have reason to speak are in support of the committee option. So I also support the committee option, but allow me to make a few comments on the merits of the committee of the whole House. Mr. Speaker, as it was pointed out by Senator Onyonka, that this would have been an opportunity for the new senators to get to understand how the process works if we did a committee of the whole House. So I'm sure maybe they can attend the committee sessions as friends of the committee and learn. Mr. Speaker, also, I've looked at various democratic jurisdiction where impeachment processes are conducted by the committee of the whole. Like in the US, a Senate of 100 members sitting and conducting an impeachment process and doing it so thoroughly, I think it's something that this Senate will have to learn to do, so that in future, when we have a committee of the whole House, we are able to do a neat job without having to subject the process just to a few members who can do it. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I think we also need to relook at our standing orders, because, you know, impeachment is a very important accountability and oversight tool that we use to provide checks and balances in our counties. And I've looked at the names proposed, and the member, the senator for Meru, is not included among the members. We have developed a tradition where whenever we engage our county governors, the member for that area is invited. For example, in our park and peak committee meetings, they are always invited to come and hear, because they understand the issues better and they can interrogate, they can guide the other members. So I think it's something we need to look at, so that you do not have senators discussing your governor and you are not represented. So I think you should be given a choice whether you want to not to participate or you want to be a member. So it is very important for that consideration to be put in place. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I think the committee should do a thorough job, given that this particular impeachment is a unique one. Unique because it is an impeachment that has come 112 days later. And I know the proposed bill on impeachment procedure bill proposes that at least we need a longer period before an impeachment of a governor is brought before us. So this is a very, very unique impeachment, and I think the committee should do justice to the people of Meru and to this House by bringing a report that makes sense legally and a report that we can easily support as a Senate. I think we need to do a neat job so that to avoid the challenges we have faced as Senate before. Mr. Speaker, you are aware we have had the impeachment motion that this House has passed, which have been challenged in court. The recent one being the impeachment of the governor of Wajir, who ended up finishing his term because of the gaps in the impeachment process that we had. So the committee, you have an obligation to do a thorough job, and a job that we will all support because it will be strictly within the law. So for those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I belatedly support the formation of a select committee of 11 people, and I encourage maybe in future we should do more bipartisan process on such a matter so that we don't have contestations on the floor of the House on a simple matter that we would have taken very short time, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, we are not doing very well time-wise, and I can still see at the dashboard here that we still have a number of senators who still want to speak to this motion. With your concurrence again, can we reduce the time to 2 minutes? So that we don't shut, because at some point we may have to shut some of you, and I don't think that's, I think 2 minutes. Do I have your concurrence? Yes. Good. Senator Kathuri Murungi. Senator Murungi. Allow him less than 7 minutes.
Yeah, paper 5.
In fact, you should have closed that thing.
Okay, so we can be away.
So I think, Senator Murungi, this matter having emanated from your county, you should be the last to speak. All right. Senator Siango.
Be very careful what you say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise to oppose the motion for the following reasons. I have no problem with membership of the committee, but the question is, how was the composition arrived at, the membership arrived at? Why was there no kamukunji so that we may know who is to go to that committee? I oppose the motion. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Senate exists to protect devolution. And as one member has already alluded, this impeachment of Meru Governor Kawira Mwangasa is unique in the fact that it has taken too short a time for her to be impeached. And this is denying Meru people service. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to say that actually the composition of the committee having more men than women is not accepted. We say nothing for us without us. Nothing for us without us. there is a popular saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, that says if the hyena is the judge, then the goat has no justice or cannot get justice. Fisi akiwa hakimu, mbuzi ana haki. Yes.
Senator
Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to correct.
Senator Siang, choose your language. You started with English, kindly proceed in English and finish in English.
Thank you, sir. I stand guided. So the interpretation or the translation of what I said is that if the hyena is the judge, then a goat.
Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to make my very first contribution. I must say that when I came to this house today, I was in support of the committee of the whole for the reasons that two heads are better than one, in that every senator here maybe could have been able to make a good contribution. Noting also that we have the committee of the whole or the special committee will have only 10 days to deliver. I also came thinking that the whole house would have been better because the task ahead would have been shared and therefore making the job much easier, and the time factor would then have been much better. Mr. Speaker, from the history of this house, the impeachments that have been had or been brought before this house, I have not found any particular member that was able to convince me that the committee of the whole did a shoddy job. But Mr. Speaker, just like that suitor who convinces would-be bride, I think I am convinced that a committee, a special committee, will do a good job, especially during this time of Christmas. And so, Mr. Speaker, I am now convinced by those that support the motion. I support. Thank you very much.
Senator Kamar.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to add my voice to this debate. Mr. Speaker, for me first, there is no difference between plenary and the committee. For one reason, we need to be fair to the people of Meru, we need to be just to the people of this country, and we need to do a clean job. I was listening to the debate and it was like we are giving the country an impression that the members of the committee will not do a good job. I think that is one thing that we need to start avoiding, because if we give the impression that committees will not do a good job, it's different. I agree with the fact that we needed to have done a Kamukunji, Mr. Speaker. It helps to ventilate. It helps for members to give their views at that early. But, Mr. Speaker, lastly, I just want to mention the fact that the issue of gender is a very important thing. And it would have been very fair to increase the numbers of ladies, because there are issues. This lady, Honorable Her Excellency, the Governor, has been judged by the public. And she needs the comfort of that committee. She needs to trust the committee herself. And that's why I was so worried when we started derailing and moving to debate Gloria instead of debating which committee, whether we are going for committee or not. It's very important. The issue is about Kawira. We need to be fair to her as much as we need to be fair to the people of Meru, and as much as we need to be fair to the MCAs who have issues. And we must be trusted as a Senate. And for us to be trusted, I want to challenge the members of the committee that have been nominated, that they must come out. If we go the direction of the committee, which it looks like we are going, we must be seen to be just, we must be seen to be truthful, and we must be seen to be honest. Kawira.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'm cognizant of every senator in this House is competent enough. I think the whole day was competency. I have no problem with the committee, but however, the paragraph before the names says that the Senate has resolved This Senate is still debating and we have never solved it. I think that in the future you have to correct that one. Two, Madam Speaker, this business is coming under the devolution. The chairman devolution is not included. We have been given responsibility, everybody is given responsibility as a standing committee for every standing committee in this Senate. However, the Senate, the chairman of devolution is excluded in this committee. And I think in future, this should be corrected. The chairman must be respected on the undercuts, and they must be consulted on this issue. Thank you, Chairman. Madam Speaker.
Senator Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I also rise to support this motion and especially agree with my colleague, Senator Wambua, that the committee route will give us a more detailed approach because then we'll benefit from expert opinion. But if we allow the plenary route, it's gonna be like a market where everyone has leeway to give their point, not holding into account what the expert opinion is. I also have an opportunity to participate as a newly joining in member. I want to appreciate the opportunity to be considered in that select committee, and also promise to really give justice that is needed and be fair in this due process. So, Mr. Speaker, I think the committee is the right way to go, not because I'm a beneficiary. I also think as a young person, and my region is factored. It's not being a woman. I'm a leader in this house. It's not, for me, that's how I look at it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Okenyuri, this house, whether it goes the plenary way or not, can never be a market. It always be an honorable house. Senator Tobiko Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to support the motion. Mr. Speaker, the standing orders of this House allow both ways or either of the routes, whether it's plenary or the committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, and so the House could go in any direction, Mr. Speaker. But Mr. Speaker, let me address one particular issue that has really come up in this whole debate, the gender issue, Mr. Speaker. And I would want to urge my sisters, honorable senators who are here, that even if we feel compelled to speak for the good lady governor of Meru, we must do it in a shrewd manner because the Bible tells us to be shrewd. We neither have the numbers, neither do we have the vote. So we must do it in a way that we bring the elected male senators on board to agree with us if we have strong points that would save the lady governor. But Mr. Speaker, I would also say that for the committee and those who have been bestowed with the responsibility of being in this committee, it's a huge responsibility, Mr. Speaker. And I was asking myself, this may actually put some of us in a precarious situation because it will set precedents. I am imagining, I am seated there as a committee member that possibly may agree with the impeachment of the governor of Meru, and tomorrow I am a lady who will be aspiring to be a governor in 2027 in a county. So I would want justice to...
Honorable Senator Karungo.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. As I rise to support this motion, it's good to inform the House, yes, I am one of the nominated member to be in this committee, but I would support such a route whether I'm in this committee or not in this committee. Mr. Speaker, I've heard people say that if we go the committee way, it's going to be held away from the public. That is not right, Mr. Speaker, and every senator is allowed to appear in that committee, and they can as well contribute through the membership of that committee, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it's also wrong to discuss the membership of this committee, saying some of them are governors or not governors. Mr. Speaker, whether we go the plenary way, the governors will be there. Whether we go the committee way, the governors will be there. So that is not supposed to be even entertained in this house, because we are all equal in this house. There is no virgins in the maternity, Mr. Speaker. We are all equal. We went the same process, and we are all senators in this house, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue is not about Kawera. It is the issue of the people of Meru, over 200,000 who voted for her, plus the whole of the county that she is now serving. So, Mr. Speaker, I think with the committee, we are going to investigate this matter and give justice to both Kawera and the people of Meru County. And, Mr. Speaker, having had an experience of going through such a process, I believe I'm going to be an asset to this committee, because I do understand what happens when it comes to such processes. And, Mr. Speaker, because I support women, and I support women so much.
Senator Murgo.
Thank you very much, Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to also air my views in addition to my colleagues. I came in actually opposing the motion, but I've been persuaded by a few facts. One fact is that a few people will find facts more than a larger group. So that has persuaded me to go the small group. And also, a small group will also is likely to be friendlier than a large group, because a large group is likely to be disorderly and just express themselves very differently. And then I look at people like Senator Tobigo and the others to be very mature, and therefore reasoning will be there rather than emotions. And therefore that will be good for the governor and also good for the county assembly people or MCAs, and then also for Meru people at large. Thank you. I support.
Senator Murango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, after serious dialogue, discussion, and face-to-face with the majority leader, I support this motion. Mr. Speaker, when I look at the senators who have been put in this committee to look at this matter, I also can see a lot of experience in it. Mr. Speaker, starting with Dr. Halwale, who is a seasoned senator and has handled this matter before. We have the former Governor Jackson Mandago and Mr. Romba, Senator Romba. Karongo Dhangwa was a CC member at Kiambu at one time. We have Joseph Geduk, who was an MCA in Ilamu. Mr. Speaker, having this combination, we have to have confidence that the committee will be able to carry out its mandate. But I also want to remind them that according to the County Government Act of 2012, Section 33, either they find the governor guilty or not guilty, this will, the full house will bear the brunt of their decision. So I'll call upon them to be honest on their findings and to make sure that the voice of the people will be the voice of the senators. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mandago.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to support this motion. Although initially, Mr. Speaker, the way the majority leader had put it, it was open for the Senate to decide either way. But Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the decision or the matter beforehand, Mr. Speaker, has nothing to do with gender. It's purely a matter of considering whether the decision that was reached by the County Assembly of Meru, the Senate is going to concur with them or disagree with them, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it is not in order for the Honorable Senator Gloria to suggest that since the committee is made up of more male senators than the female senators, that the committee will not be biased, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in fact, in this country of recent past, Mr. Speaker, there seems to be a liking by women, Mr. Speaker, of the services being given by men, Mr. Speaker. A majority of women today, Mr. Speaker, if they go to the salon, they are actually looking for male saloonists. Mr. Speaker, even when they go for massage, they are looking for male masseuse, Mr. Speaker. It cannot be that when the male senators are going to discharge justice, Mr. Speaker, we are going to be unfair. Mr. Speaker, I want to commit that having been selected as a member of that committee, that we are going to be fair, just, and do the right thing, Mr. Speaker, because we know the decision of that committee will be the decision of the Senate, and we therefore want to commit that being a former governor or not does not make us biased in the decisions we are going to make, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Hamida.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my thinking is, if we had a fair balance of the gender, when I talk about gender, I'm just talking about the balanced number. We are aspiring the 2/3 majority, and we cannot achieve if we don't start with the Senate. So actually, I want to support Senator Kamar, looking at the merit of the balance. But I believe, I trust the committee way would be the right way to trust, because of course not all of us, and I'm sure they'll make the right decision. But I am not happy, of course, with the balance of the numbers. So let's practice that, and this is the only way. Of course, being in the Senate, this is the opportunity to do it. But otherwise, I rise to support.
Senator Kavindu.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kusapoti mswada huu, kwa sababu Bwana Spika, ninaamini ya kwamba watu wachache wakijadiliana mambo na wakitizama mambo wana uwezo mkubwa kuliko watu wengi. Na hata kwa kazi, watu wengi sana unaweza kuwapa kazi mfano tu na upate wamefanya kazi kidogo sana, lakini upatie wachache na upate wamefanya kazi mzuri. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, na support, na ninasema vile nimeona hii kamiti vile imechaguliwa, nataka kuahidi seneta, hatutakuwa biased, maana niko pale ndani. Tutafanya kazi kwa uwazi na kwa usawa, tukijua sisi ni watetezi wa devolution, na sisi ni watetezi wa magavana, sisi ni watetezi wa wananchi na mambo yote yanayotendeka kwa county. Kwa hivyo hatutaegemea upande mmoja, tutaangalia usawa na tutafanya vizuri vile inatakikana. Tunawahakikishia hivyo. Asanteni.
Senator Miraj.
Mimi nasimama kuiunga mkono hoja ya majority leader ya kwamba tuende njia ya committee. Lakini pia vile niwezi kutoa changizo zangu kama mwakilishi maalum wa kike katika hii bunge la Senate. Tunazungumza mazungumzo na tunataka kuonesha ubabe, lakini lazima tuangalie nchi yetu inaelekea wapi kimisingi ya uwakilishi wa kike. Tumeambiwa kwamba sisi tuko hapa, na hata labda tungepata fursa ya kukaa katika hiyo komiti, tusingekuwa na sauti ya kupiga kura. Na waambia kina mama wale ambao wanafuatilia hili bunge leo, waone na wajue ya kwamba hata kama ingekuwa kuna hoja za kijinsia katika haya malalamishi ambayo yameletwa ndani ya nyumba hii dhidi ya Gavana Kawira, basi sisi kama kina mama tungekuwa na kura 3 pekee. Na waomba kina mama, sisi tunapokuja kuwaomba kura, hatuwaombi kura kwa sababu tunataka kukaa tu kwenye hii nyumba. Tunawaomba mtupe sauti na nguvu, ili wakati kama huu ukifika, tuweze kutoa sauti zetu. Sio kwa sababu Kawira ni mwanamke, lakini kusimamia haki yake. Kwa sababu yale maneno yamezungumzwa katika social media na yale ambayo yanaendelea katika vyombo vya habari, ni wazi ya kwamba ameshutumiwa kwa sababu ni mwanamke. Lakini kwa sababu niko hapa na nishaambiwa sitapiga kura, wacha niunge hoja ya wale wanawake ambao wamepata fursa na wale 3 ambao watakuwa katika hiyo kamati. Ni wasihi, msimuangalie kama mama, muangalieni kama mama ambaye alikwenda akapigiwa kura na wananchi, na muzilinde.
Senator Eddie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd intended not to speak on this matter, particularly because I am directly affected, especially given the emotion with which this conversation started. I did respect the fact that we are all equal senators, and every issue that senators do bring in this house are equally weighty, because people have got different interests and people have got different concerns. So I'm very humbled to register my thoughts on this matter. And the first one is just being grateful that with such a difficult task of making a judgment with regarding to this particular impeachment, going to do an examination of the question at hand, it is indeed a very serious task that I don't take lightly personally, and I believe that my colleagues who have been elected to be, who have been appointed to be in this committee or proposed, will take very seriously. But that said, I want to say that the motions that have been expressed in this House, Mr. Speaker, with regards to gender, are a serious issue that I want to invite us as a House to be considerate next time, that we try as much as possible to strive not only on issues that affect women, but also other issues that might be of this magnitude that we include women. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to also invite the House to put our trust, because the question of process has been put in place, to put our trust in our leadership. Under Standing Orders number 22 and 23 that establishes both majority and minority leadership, we must actually trust them to be able to give us this kind of guidance. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I look forward to engaging in this process.
Senator Mundigi.
Yangu ni kuunga mkono kamati ile itaenda kuangalia mambo ya Senator Kawira, Gavana Kawira. Ingawa hata Kawira mwenyewe tunamheshimu kama sisi wanaume, lakini pia hata yeye mwenyewe awe akipatia wanaume respect. Kwa sababu nakumbuka kitu ya kwanza, anavaa respect watu wa Meru, kwa sababu nakumbuka siku ile kulikuwa na sherehe kubwa ya rais wetu na deputy, sisi wote kama mimi nilitoka kilomita kama 500 kwenda kuona vile polisi inaenda kufanya huko Meru, lakini kwa sababu kulikuwa na mambo ilikuwa imetengenezwa na mtu mmoja ambaye alikuwa opponent wake, angeweza kuhudhuria hiyo. Kwa hivyo sasa nataka kukosoa senator kutoka Mombasa, ati sisi tuna respect ya kina mama, na akina mama hata wanafaa uwe wakitupatia respect. Kwa hiyo sasa tuko hapa, hatuko hapa kwa sababu ya mama ama papa, tuko hapa kama senator. Kwa hivyo ile kamati itaenda kuangalia, mpaka iangalie Kawira wakati alichaguliwa na watu wote, hakuchaguliwa kwa sababu ya watu ya independent ama gani, alichaguliwa juu ya leaders wote. Kwa hiyo mpaka awe na respect ya kupatia leaders wale wengine respect ndio. Hata kama polisi ameitwa na nani anabawa akienda. Asante.
Honorable Senators, from my dashboard, my dashboard is blank. Senator, yeah, he'll speak last. Senator Duarte.
Mr. Speaker, sir, maybe the technicians need to check this because my button was on all this time. Mr. Speaker, sir, Standing Order 81B provides for the procedure to be adopted in the event of removal of a governor. Mr. Speaker, sir, it provides that the process can either be taken through plenary or by way of a select committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, in both of these two processes, none has been stated as being more superior than the other, meaning that a plenary should be as good as a select committee, Mr. Speaker, sir. In other words, Mr. Speaker, sir, if this function can be undertaken by the Senate, it can also be undertaken by the select committee. The standard of care required during the process will be the same both at the plenary and at the select committee level. Mr. Speaker, sir, I would wish to state, listening to the many submissions that have been made before the floor of this House, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is clear that there are some processes that may need to be improved. For instance, how committees are constituted, what is the level of percentage of gender, Mr. Speaker, sir, that can be improved for future processes. But Mr. Speaker, sir, without elongating my submissions, I would wish to support the motion that has been brought to the floor of this House by the majority leader, but to implore upon the select committee to undertake their duty with much care and without interference, and to see that, looking at the heated debate that has emanated from the House, Mr. Speaker, sir, everybody will be watching. Both the governor needs a fair trial, the standard of proof.
At this juncture, we'll allow the Honorable Senator of Meru 5 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On the onset, Mr. Speaker, sir, I really want to thank you and the members of the Senate for breaking their holiday to come and listen to the cries of the Meru people. So on behalf of the Meru County residents and my very behalf, humbly receive our gratitude. The role of the Senate, Honorable Speaker, is to represent the counties. That is Article 96(1) of our Constitution. The Senate represents the counties and serves to protect the interests of the counties and their governments. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, the reason why these senators left their families, some even were outside the country, it is because they are really following the Constitution and they are really protecting and defending the Constitution. And Mr. Speaker, I wish that these impeachments don't come to this House. It's unfortunate that Meru County is the first county to be brought on this matter. And Mr. Speaker, my wish is that both the parties, that is the Meru County Assembly, the 67 members opening their signatures to impeach the governor will be listened to, and also the governor. I'll really request her this time to appear before the Senate, because last week she did not appear before the County Assembly because she thought that there was a breach of the court order. But I really beg her also to appear before this committee, which will be maybe dominated today, so that also she can be heard, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this matter has come at a time that is not so good because we are in our festivities. And Mr. Speaker, due to the past experiences, sometimes it becomes difficult to get the requisite quorum because we need 15 senators so that we can present the plenary. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, you know, if we go this route, I am afraid that getting that quorum sometimes might be difficult. And we want this matter to be expedited as fast as possible. Unfortunately, the Meru people thought today is the day that we are listening to all the issues and also making the decision. So I was forced this morning to go to all the radios to explain to them that today is just the start of the process. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, Meru community is very anxious. I know this Christmas, most of them, some of us will enjoy the Christmas, not in the normal manner. So, Mr. Speaker, we must get the system or the method which at least will give commitment. Because if we have 11 members committed to this cause, Mr. Speaker, I know that matter will be expedited with the fastest time possible. And these 10 days, if this matter can be listened to even within 5 days, that will be okay, Mr. Speaker, because the maximum time is 10 days for the committee to listen to all parties and bring the report to this House. Even if we are recalled earlier than the 30th of December, we will be able to come back, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, members should not be worried because we are owned by our standing orders to appear as friends of committee. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, all those members who feel that they shouldn't be part of that committee to listen to the issues, either in the defense of the governor or against, they are free to attend those sessions. Personally, even though I'm not in the committee, for the interest of my people, I will be appearing as much as possible to the committee to listen to the issues that will be raised, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know I want to confirm whether that gap is because of my statement or it is because of former Senator Governor Mandago. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much. So I was saying I will be, even my friend here, Senator Medu, will be much interested also to participate, to appear. And I also encourage as many senators as possible to appear as friends of the committee. Senator Chalegei, I also request the chair, because we don't know the chair who will be elected chairman of the committee, to give even the senators who are not members of the committee even time to even interrogate the witnesses. Because that is the prerogative of the chair to give the friends of the committee. So if it is possible, as much as possible, whoever will be the chair should be lenient enough also to give other senators who are not members of the committee also time to ask questions and clarifications. So, Mr. Speaker, as Senator for Meru, I'm happy, and I know the committee or the other, whichever way this matter goes, Meru will get justice. And I hope that by the end of the month, things will be better and back. Also, I'll also request the committee to give even recommendations in the future so that other counties can be able to follow what the committee will work upon. So let us even give recommendations so that our counties can run smoothly. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I thank you and wish all the senators Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. At this juncture, I will call the Leader of Majority, who is the mover of this motion, to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance. I have had the opportunity to listen to almost every senator actually make their contribution. Those who agree, majority who agree that this is the way to go, and a few that maybe for one reason or the other thought otherwise. I think their views have also been listened to, and for good reason. As leadership, we keep on learning every day. People are different, people appreciate issues differently. Not everyone is made of the same temperament and cut from a particular cloth, Mr. Speaker. So you have to understand people. Leading a team as big as the ones that the minority leader leads or myself calls for balance. You know, Mr. Speaker, many things have been said and many suggestions have been given, including the possibility, you know, sometimes people say things and you listen and say, if you are in my position, will that be practical what you're saying? That for every decision that you want to make, you must first call people into a meeting and say, which way? Surely, I don't think we will ever make any progress. It's a reality of life. We don't make light actually of the various opposing views that we've listened to, especially on what is justified. But I think, to me, Mr. Speaker, the winner of it all is the senator for Meru has just finished on the floor. He speaks on behalf of the people of Meru. He has a confidence of this House and has said whichever way this House decides, plenary or committee, that he is comfortable in the interest of the greater people of Meru for them to get justice. And he has agreed with the motion as proposed. He believes in the committees of this House. You know, Mr. Speaker, I can't remember who it was, but somebody from the minority side actually said something quite profound, that as a committee chairperson, actually, I now remember it was Senator Professor Kamar, that a vote in support of this committee, you're simply voting to affirm that you believe in the committees of this House. This committee is not different from any other of our committees. Therefore, if we set a precedent of saying that we don't trust in committees, this and that may happen, we are by and large, and you know we are all members of committees in one way or the other, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, I plead with my colleagues, let us vote, support the motion as is, and tomorrow our colleagues can begin the work and put us on notice. As soon as they are ready, we shall come back to hear what will be the finding of this committee. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move.
Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 84-1, I do determine that the matter affects counties, and therefore voting will be by county delegations. The vote will be carried when a minimum of 24 delegations vote in favor of the motion. At this juncture, I'll ask the Sergeant at Arms to ring the division bell for 2 minutes. So, Honorable Senators, the voting shall be done electronically, so kindly use your cards to log in. Honorable Senators, I now put the question. But before I do that, Senator, please walk in. Sergeant at Arms, kindly draw the bar. Thank you. Honorable Senators, I now put the question that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on 14th December 2022, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas by a letter reference number CAM/res/volume V/2 dated 15th December 2022, received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Thursday, 15th December 2022, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. And whereas pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81(b) of the Senate by resolution may appoint a special committee comprising 11 of its members to investigate the matter. Now therefore, pursuant to Section 33(3)(b) of the County Government Act and Standing Order 81(b), the Senate resolves to establish a special committee comprising the following senators. 1. Senator Dr. Boni Kalale, CBS MP. Senator Jackson Mandago, EGH MP. Senator Karungo Thangwa MP. Senator Esther Okenyuri MP. Senator Roba Ali Ibrahim, EGH MP. Senator Peris Tobiko MP. Senator Eddie Gisheru Okech MP. Senator Joseph Githuku Kamau MP. Senator Edwin Sifuna MP. Senator Agnes Kavindu Muthama MP. And Senator Jones Mwaruma MP to investigate the proposed removal from office of the Governor of Meru County and pursuant to Standing Order 82 to report to the Senate within 10 days of its appointment on whether or not it finds the particulars of the allegations against the Governor to have been substantiated. So, Honorable Senators, voting starts now. I said we're going to vote electronically. So you press either yes, no, or abstain. Members, can you resume your seats? Members, kindly resume your seats. Voting is complete. Sergeant at Arms, you may now withdraw the bars, please. Honorable Senators, the voting is complete, and here are the results. Ayes 33, noes 2, abstentions 0. The ayes have it. Honorable Senators, having put the special committee in place, the committee will have 10 days to investigate and report back to the Senate on whether it finds allegations against the governor to have been substantiated. The committee should therefore table its report in the Senate on or before Friday, 30th December 2022. And honorable Senators, there being no other business on the order paper, the Senate stands adjourned until Tuesday, 14th February 2023 at 2:30 p.m. The committee meets immediately after the Kamkunji in committee room number 5. I thank you. Yeah, you. Thank you.